Well, guten morning, as they say. Welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Eight Wind is Timeless. I am the holder of the Infinite Ball Game created by the Hero Twins. I am your galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. So tonight's special sponsor is Drakkar, for the man who has nothing. Trying to think who are their main does it really say this stuff would catch on fire? Guy LaRoche. Okay. They'll probably keep bugs off you too. And tonight we're switching it up again. We're sticking with the Michigan brewery. This is Founder's Dirty Bastard. And Founder's Dirty Bastard is basically, it's almost so good it's wrong. Dark ruby in color, brewed with 7 varieties of imported malts, complex finish with hints of smoke and peat. Peat is like, almost like what they use in scotch. You can get peat liquor. And so this is a scotch ale. So pop them if you want them, smoke them if you got them. Bottoms up. See that? I just have fun, y'all. I just have fun. Over there. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm going to do this too. Get this going. There we go. So just stay with me. Just give me a second, y'all. Oops. Just gotta wait a second. Triple back this fucker up. Triple back it up. Because the more you can put it in the ether, the more you can pass it to the world. Okay. All right. Oops. Triple back this fucker up. Okay. There we go. So we'll go from here. Well, what's happening, everybody? It's Lazy Saturday. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining me. Anise, thank you. And thank you for all your help in advance. Lorenzo, what's happening? You see any of the 3-on-3, Lorenzo? I wonder when they incorporated the continuous play of the 3-on-3. I have to say, since I last played 3-on-3 and I played in 2 tournaments in 2007. Yeah, my first full summer here in Minneapolis. And it was Gus Macker. I played in a couple of Gus Mackers when I was here. I played in one in St. Paul, played in one in Eau Claire. And so, I don't know. Nice love, Founders Day, driving back to Chicago from New Buffalo, Michigan. Oh, all right. Oh, okay, yeah, right in New Buffalo. That area, they've really, all that going into the border has all been modernized and changed. I was surprised because, as you know, used to be a lot of just land going between Chicago, like in Benton Harbor, but but from Gary to Benton Harbor, but now all that is built up. So pretty soon, Chicago and Michigan, those parts are going to really catch up. They did a lot of rebuilding. So do you have any advice for this full moon energy? And if I'm hesitant to move forward in a relationship? I would say today is the day to manifest. That's what I would guess. I would say today is the day to manifest. And so where is it at? Where is it at? Jane Doe. So is there anything? Let's see. Are we connected? To the right, yes. To the left, no. All right, thank you. Jane Doe wants to know, should she move forward with a relationship? Yes, no, or maybe. Jane Doe wants to know if she should move forward with a relationship. Yes, no, or maybe. What do you feel for Jane? Is that the final answer? Any stronger? Well, Jane, just doing light pendulum work without knowing a whole lot, and just this effort. It looks like a mild yes. So looks like a mild yes for you, Jane. So looks like it's still some things you should work out, but I would say a mild yes. Hey, what's good, PJ? What is going on? Did you catch the 3-on-3 today? I watched the TNT League, which was pretty cool. A lot of dudes who playing in the G League, playing in the TNT. Hey, normalized. What's happening? No, the Olympics. The Olympics got 3-on-3. They had the qualifying matches like last week or week before I went to Michigan. So maybe the qualifying matches was 2 weeks ago. But no, they got Olympic 3-on-3. They got the 3-on-3 in the Olympics. Earlier today they showed the women, and then they was showing one of the replays of the men game right as I was coming on. So no, not that. They play. I like the way they play 3-on-3. The big three don't play the continuous ball. The big three take it back and stuff. But like when the big three, there's a score, they check it up and take it back. In Olympic style or the nationals 3-on-3, which now I hate I ain't young, because I was a dog playing 3-on-3. I was a hard matchup for most people because I could shoot. And my handles, it's just like I could handle anybody. And then when I was younger, I was strong enough, again, because of my football background. But now when you get to like when they make it, you just keep playing. You just take it back, but you don't have to stop play. You take it back and play, and it's like I said before, the first time I played it 3-on-3 with some brothers from Chicago, they was like, you could take it to the sides. And that was always kind of a thing. And even the Macker kind of 3-on-3, you could take it to the side instead of having to take it to the top. And the new rules is pretty much this in the international rules. It looks like it's pretty much the same thing. You can just take it back and then play. So you take it back anywhere behind the 3-point line and you can play. So yeah, it's got the Olympic men and women 3-on-3. Yep. I don't know. You didn't check it out yet. Yeah, look for that. I remember seeing people with Gus Macker tees back in the day. Yeah. That's because most of the time, you could buy one, but if it had the date on it, that means you played. When you played, you got shirts. Like when you paid your money to register, they gave you shirts. Oh, you didn't get a chance? Yeah, check it out. They'd be playing the replays and stuff. US won tonight. USA. Matter of fact, the favorites to win it all is France, and US beat them today. Oh, Larry Sanders trying to fight some dude. But yeah, they beat France today. We are putting in work out here. Okay, yeah, but yeah, Jane Doe. It looks favorable for you. So, I seen a 3-on-3 was like, there's no way. I think it's pretty cool that they incorporate that. Yeah, I noticed. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago that I watched I made a video that showed how they was using the system. but it was the Olympic trials, and they was using that system. Should get some street ballers out there instead of only organized pros. I'll tell you what, though, right now, them street ballers is becoming organized pros. There's over in Europe, there's a professional 3-on-3 league. So you can constantly play. You can constantly play 3-on-3 in a high level now. And there was some dudes, this games was better in 3-on-3 compared to up and down. Now myself and my boy Rob, we could just go. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if we was 5-on-5 or 3-on-3. But I played against this one cat. We ended up winning the finals. And I played against this one cat, Ryan. And I can't remember what school he went to, what college, but Ryan could shoot. And he was the only one where Rob guarded him, and he just gave it that business. Now, Rob was a force, but Ryan didn't miss. And because Ryan was killing us so much, we really had to put pressure. But Ryan had my guy Jeff that later played with me was on the team. But it was like everybody else was too loaded, so Ryan couldn't beat us too. He was filling it up on Rob, but Jeff could never guard me. And then who else did we play? Oh, we had Lindsay with us. We had Lindsay and Big Red. Now, Big Red played pro ball. He played pro ball in several places. He went to, I want to say, Ball State. I saw Big Red had a daughter playing college somewhere too. And Lindsay, it was funny. Lindsay could go, and then he kind of got he got strung out a little bit, and then we got him out of it, and he was still a decent player. He was 6'4", 6'5", still could post anybody, but had handles. Lindsay, I can't even think of his last name. I can't even think. Oh, I know Big Red's name because Big Red was a junior. His dad played against my cousin and played with my cousin at some point in high school. So David Johnson would be his name, Big Red's name. And of course, Rob Cole. Rob could go. Rob was like, he was 2 years behind me. He watched me. And watching him play was like how I played. It was interesting how he picked up so much of the way I played by sitting back and watching me. So, and he's probably still playing leagues, and Rob's 57, 58. Yeah, Rob's 50, and I bet he's still playing somewhere. Wash hands, goods vibe, chili dog. There you, hey, Soap, thank you for joining. The replay's on YouTube. I heard Kwame say Q paying them to promote the big three. Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. See, Cube just did what the Gus Macker did, because what Gus ended up doing is Cube is copying what Gus did, but Gus again, we was playing in Gus's backyard. We were playing his front yard, like his driveway, and then he had a court was just his backyard. So if you won, you got to make it to his backyard. That's how it started, in his backyard. And then next thing we know, it's all across the country. So one time, I think the furthest west it went was San Diego. I think it was a San Diego, but I know it was here, and it was several other places. And he just didn't really have the full infrastructure because Gus was cheap, and Gus relied on a lot of volunteers. So as he went to a place, he was hoping volunteers, he'd pay him very little, give him some shirts, pay him lunch. That was kind of, and that hurt the infrastructure as far as setting it up, getting the publicity and everything. And so I don't think he still goes, but you see Ice Cube picked up on it. And Ice Cube is a direct copy of what Gus did, and I can't think of his real name. Everybody just called him Gus. That's dope. Imagine T-Mac, Starberry, or Iverson being 3-on-3 player instead of the NBA. Supreme street ball legend. And that's what you saw. Like, we would go to these tournaments. Like I mentioned in Battle Creek, I won every year. Like, it was held 7 years, and I was I played with the top players every year for 7 years. A lot of Battle Creek people used to get mad at me, but it was like I always would be on good teams and have brothers come, and like the days after the games, we would cook and everything. Like, even when I told the story before, even when we didn't win, Keenan Murray, he has two sons playing at Iowa. Keelan Murray, he was Mr. Basketball. He played at Iowa. But right now, he has his two twin sons are both on the Iowa squad. Keenan Murray, maybe. But he played with us, and I told the story before where we didn't win it. We got second place, but we come out there because they gave us the sportsmanship. So we come out there each. Well, I came out with 2 trophies, because I got the second place trophy and I got the sportsmanship trophy. They looked alike, and I got both plaques. And then I got dude who car wash. Like, I have sponsors. I had dudes who would pay to, like, I had stopped paying. I was just going to dudes, and people would contact me, say, where are you going this weekend? We'll sponsor you. And so Al's car wash, it was called one time. Al sponsored me a lot. And so he had plaques. He had the plaques all, like, when I would win, I'd keep the trophies, but I would give him the plaque, and he had plaques all in his garage. So, you know, that was how I hustled. But yeah, we saw, man, it was all kind of people, especially like in Belding. That's a small town, but that's where Gus had it. But we go to Belding, everybody would turn out. Everybody would turn out in Belding. That was always the if you didn't do any, you would do that one. Well, Gus has to be still going because a couple years ago, my daughter that's 15 played one, she told me. So in Otsego, Michigan, I think she played one. So it's still going. They said they got cheated. And then maybe it was 3-4 years ago now, but so it was just fun. It was fun. Like, you'd be surprised. It was a lot of top people playing all the time. Like, I always had a group of dudes who played in college, was playing at the time with me, playing semi-pro with me somewhere, summer league or somewhere. Because, like, in the middle of the Macker, we were still playing league ball. That never stopped. That kept going on. So it was like Macker was only always a Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. So we was playing leagues through the week. And so yeah, you'd be surprised the level of competition sometime, because it was also one in Kalamazoo. I mean, it was one in Lansing. I said before, the prettiest one was in Traverse City, and we were sitting and you could see Lake Michigan. You could see the beaches. It was actually kind of like, it would remind you a little bit of Venice Beach, the way it looked, because it was the courts was up top, but you would see the sand down below, and then like just Lake Michigan in the summertime, you know. So, and did you guys see a dude this weekend? Or a dude this week kayaked it across Lake Michigan. I didn't read which part he kayaked in. So I just think if he went from Wisconsin all the way, like, you can go from like, if I didn't want to drive, I could drive all the way to Kenosha. No. Where are my friends from? The black town right on Lake Michigan, not Kenosha. No, it's not Kenosha. But I can't think of the little town, but you could take the ferry, you could park your car. So it's still, for me to even drive that far would be 6-7 hours. And then it really wouldn't save me a whole bunch of time. It would take me about 3 hours to go across Lake Michigan. I wouldn't have to drive, but I would have to be on the boat. And the boat would take about 3 hours to take you to Holland. And from Holland to Kalamazoo, 45 minutes, because Holland's right next to Muskegon, Grand Rapids. It's not as far as Grand Rapids. So I found my team mode on 2K that has the 3-on-3. Is actually fun. You can put your favorite players together. Yeah. My son and them play 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 sometime when they're doing, where in the 4K you can be in the parks and just have, it has the multi-courts. So they do that. They play like full court 3-on-3, 4-on-4. I missed this, Jay. I couldn't believe the hotel prices for New Buffalo and Michigan City. I was surprised how big they all were. Somewhere in there's a new hospital. And that was before Benton Harbor. So I was really impressed. Used to not be anything when you went through like New Buffalo. Used to be there's a casino there. And I didn't say this earlier. So, Ali used to live in the Al Capone compound. Capone had that compound in New Buffalo, and Ali at one time bought it. But the McDonald's there where he favored, it was nothing but his memorabilia. All his memorabilia was up in this McDonald's because he lived in the area. So it was kind of cool. And I imagine that was a while ago. So I don't imagine it's still there. But he lived there. He's since, he's passed, but they sold it and they moved somewhere else. I see. Oh, did y'all catch where Ali put his wife put Ali stuff in the NFTs? Like some of the pictures and some of the action from Frazier fights was officially put on NFTs today. So Salisbury, I think, handled it. It was the first athletic stuff, which I don't know if that was correct because I know LeBron put some stuff on there too, but that's what Salisbury put. So they put that. So one thing I wanted to share, my brother gave me this book. And as I say, a lot of these type of books turn me off because there's so much misinformation in here about history. And it's called Veneration. Well, let me see. Let me get the It's called, Veneration, the Moon, a Ritual Sacrifice of the Aztecs by Ron Strongbone. And this is supposed to be Tapanali, not quite the goddess of death, but that he needed to be fed. And this is a neat book my brother gave me. This is like number 7 of only 22 copies. I mean, these pages are quality. But as I was saying, this, again, what you have to remember is during Inquisition, the Jewish faith people had to find somewhere to go. That is why the first trip was done by, or the first trip of Columbus was paid for by Jewish faith people, put out of Inquisition. Again, most of them trying to be conversos. None of this stuff, this information gathered, is by the Aztecs themselves. This is all secondhand information, and I'm seeing a ton of things that's wrong. But now this is what they tell you, that the Europeans stopped human sacrifice, but right here it tells you they didn't. And it goes, only after the conquest did the scale of human sacrifice fall dramatically. Dramatically don't mean it ended. The rite being stamped out. Of course, secret immolations persisted in caves and remote temples for generations as the deities' demonstrations. Spanish Inquisition executions rapidly took the place of the rite of human sacrifice. So do you see? Do you see how they tell on themselves that human sacrifice continued? Do you see that? So this is what we're seeing in America. It has never stopped. So these wars really ain't been about disagreements, because when you have wars, there's still some kind of compassion for the commanders. We've seen wars where there's no compassion, there's no strategic retreats. I mean, as I was mentioning in Versailles, I think that battle alone, 300,000 to 600,000 people got killed. That is all for human sacrifice, because nothing was gained. As I mentioned last night, Hamburger Hill, hundreds of people on both sides killed, nothing to gain. So again, human sacrifice. So we're not looking at this thing right. And even this police stuff, this police killing, this is the same thing. It's human sacrifice again, under the guise. And even all these murders we saw originally first in LA that the CIA and FBI worked together. You can probably look at the FBI and the Panther killings, and we can look at them as really human sacrifice. So this practice has never went away in America. Now, they call it murder and these other things, but remember the Black Dahlia killings. The Black Dahlia killings remember the television version made the point of why he killed them was saying, all you people in Hollywood, you doing all these abortions that these starlets having, and it's okay for me to cut up human bodies. But what's the difference when I start cutting up regular human bodies? There's no difference. And that was the point of that show that came on TNT. So it hasn't went away. And we know, going back to history, at least let's go to year 1000. And we can see over and over again, it is one group of people from that time on. That's why they spread the butter so thick with the Aztecs. Yeah, they try to say, see, it was done somewhere else. But this book, they really explaining what they do and why. Oh, you went to Four Winds Casino last night. Okay. Yeah, PJ, they're just covering it up. So that's how you have to look at these murders. And that's how you have to look at the surge at the border, the surge of dropping children off and taking them whatever. Because this group of people have never stopped. They've never stopped it. So I wanted to bring that point up. I don't hate nobody. You know, did y'all check this out? It's funny, like Jason Black and that Anthony something ABL or something, Anthony something Logan, Anthony Logan, maybe that's his name. But him and Jason Black was going at the same time, and they knocked Jason Black shit off. Did y'all see that? They knocked his off. Thoughts on Kanye's ATM? I haven't really listened to it yet. Yeah, I haven't really listened to it, so really no thoughts on it. Can't really say I have any thoughts on it. Have to check it out. I guess I really didn't look up any new music last couple of days. I like DJ Khaled stuff so nice that that reggae song is one of the best reggae songs ever, one of the best produced reggae songs ever. I mean, that song hits hard, especially, and I'm not a great reggae lover, but that stuff, that song is really, really clever. See the name of this song. Where you come from, but Khaled's whole album is his whole album is pretty nice. Almost every song is pretty nice. I like Dan Tolliver. What You Need, I like that song. And then he has another song called Drugs and Hella Medicines. Get that Backenberg and that luggage or some shit. So I haven't come across any of his music. The production is probably cool. I mean, I'm surprised more people don't use his I'm surprised more people don't use that in the mix. That would be perfect for a mix. So I haven't really checked ABL. Thank you, Lorenzo. But yeah, they killed Jason Black. Like, I was trying to watch and I was thinking, because sometimes when I'm outside, the internet gets a little winky. And so I was thinking it was that. But then I was going to the ABL dude and it was like, it wasn't killing his stuff. So yeah, they killed Jason Black's feed tonight. And he ain't really that deep. He's really more the liberal kind of cat. So that surprised me that they killed his stuff. Kanye didn't even drop, still working on it with handlers. Oh, okay. So, okay. Mike Dean Rubin, MDR. Okay. But yeah, they killed Jason Black stuff. So that surprised me. And now this ABL can talk about the shit they took me off for. Like the things that they took me off for. They killed my other channel, over 3,000 videos. This ABL cat is saying all that shit. Now, granted, that was January. The demos just got in power. But it was like all I said was my own experience of my own doctor and what her colleague went through. I didn't sit here and say yay or nay. So, they was like, they was sitting on the button ready to squash me anyway. So that's all right. Yeah, it's interesting because he doesn't say he's a liberal, but he be saying liberal shit. So, and the cats become so unbalanced. This ABL dude he's so unbalanced where I wonder if it's one of them in a mask. Like that one Jesse dude that's beyond this real dark skin, he definitely got a mask. I'll get his full name, but his first name is Jesse something. He's definitely somebody in a mask. But this cat is like, it's you telling me that ain't nobody in your life and you in your 40s, it looks like he's in his 40s, has ever held you down, held your parents down. That's just impossible in this country. That's just impossible. Like a lot of people don't want to go to work because they don't want to work for these Europeans that's assholes. Like I said, when I had a contract and I stood up to this European, it was like no one in his life had ever stood up to him. It hurt him so bad. He's writing letters to everybody about some shit, and I didn't lie, didn't. All I said was, "This is the job. This is what we're supposed to do." And matter of fact, I don't even work for you. I ain't even in your department, so I'm wondering why you even coming up to me. And that shit, that he had never been talked to like that, and that hurt. He probably still talking about me 8-9 years later. It hurt him so bad. Well, you remember that time that guy stood up to me? And I work with a coon, and the coon would be right in his face. But that's why a lot of people, Mike Dean got, a handler. Okay, I don't know who that is. But that's why a lot of people don't want to work for these assholes anymore. They don't want to be put in these fucked up positions of working for assholes. And what's sad is you got a person that's pretty much on the ball, a good worker, but he sees the job. He sees what needs to be done, and he's experienced. But this Goofy is his boss, and he has to, like, he's trying to tell the Goofy how the shit is gonna run better, and the Goofy, because he's the boss, won't listen, and end up having to listen in the long run once he fucks up. He's like, well, what was that you want that we could do to make it better and make it more efficient? That's how they'll do you. And so a lot of people saying, yeah, we're gonna take this extra $300 until the shit ends in a month or two. I've already said people with businesses across the street from each other is linking together and saying, look, you can't say 20 when I'm doing 18. You go put me out of business. Ain't nobody coming over here. So we're in the same town. Can we start working together? And that's what businesses are starting to do. Businesses are almost trying to unionize themselves. What I'm saying is they're saying, well, we can't keep competing. But in some way, some places they're too far apart. But this is what businesses are doing to people. Businesses are trying to say, we can't keep competing like this because we can't keep paying them a lot of money. Now, as I said before, in Minnesota proper, everybody gets 15, no matter what the fuck you do. Now, I heard a Goofy he was talking on YouTube and saying that burger jobs and grocery store jobs is high school people's jobs. They ain't career jobs. For that, Goofy, don't you understand that even before this shit, there was people with college degrees working at these food chains? I'm going to say that again. Before all this, there was qualified college people taking some of these jobs because they couldn't find anything better. So yes, at one time, those were high school jobs, but as the time's getting squeezed, you saw more and more adults going back into these jobs. Especially they started paying 15. This is probably the second year they've been, again, it was before. So maybe this is going on the third year of Minneapolis being $15 an hour. So it was happening even before. So it was end up being what a person had to do. Now, some of these jobs, yeah, you got to kill yourself to get the hours and all that. But we was already seeing that. He ain't call you no guy, Unc, and you put him in his place. Oh yeah. He was hurt. Oh, thank you. And I'll say, Macy's is trying to sell these, and they sending me ads for $65. I thought I paid 44 for this in Michigan. I thought that was high because there's nowhere that sells this here anymore. So I'd have to order it through Macy's. Even Kango Direct was cheaper. So I thought I had a receipt from them. I'm gonna have my brother go pick me up because you can wear these all year. This is hard stuff. This is that terry cloth. So you could actually wear these in the winter. And he said, yeah, I stood up some bosses in my day, yelled at them. I did because they was out of line. What happened? I didn't get fired on the spot. I still got my raise and bonuses. There you go. That's a warrior sister. Now they just hiring the youngest children they can find. But thank you. So, yeah, I saw that yesterday. It was a girl and her tag said minor. I'd never noticed that before. Her thing said minor, but on Saw Night, I'm always learn to pick and choose your battles. That's true. You can't yell at them every time. Yep. 8 when Melbourne on another lockdown, shit getting real here with these plunges. Wow. And it's like, Jeffrey Lane showed a video, and Jeffrey's video showed that, the prime minister said nobody died from it. That's what he said to the world, that nobody died from that shit. So they're a test case. They're the test case. Well, remember how hard they were on over in England, though. They was doing England the same way. Hey, Ben. Hey, what's up? Hey, Trap, what's happening? My work making it mandatory. Wow. That's we're gonna see that more and more. I like what Dak Prescott said. They asked Dak Prescott, didn't he hit him with the HIPAA? Dak Prescott said, it ain't none of your damn business. That's part of HIPAA, ain't it? He cut them right off because what did they say? The Bucks coach want to hit him for 14 racks. If you miss a game because of that, they want to fine you 14 racks because you ain't doing it. So they trying to force people. I was saying he probably called UNC Unc all type of N-words. Oh, okay. Yeah, he. Oh my goodness, the letter was unbelievable. His letter was one unbelievable because I had another position, so it was like that was one of my last days, and it wasn't just because I did it because of my last day. It was just like, who the fuck is you, dude? You know. And this is what's funny about the cat. You could tell he was getting more confident as I worked there to come up and talk to me. It took him a while because I work with a coon, and I've told the story about this coon before. And this is a coon. And it's something that I regretted doing, but I've said this story before. This coon I work with, for some reason, he had been working there that 2-3 years, and he was driving raggedy cars. So his car broke down on him. He had a new baby. And so he asked me for a ride home. Now, we basically lived about, I'd say 10 miles or more apart. But the way I would have to come out, like I'd pass Prince's house, hit the highway, then take him. But it was way out my way. I lived about, I think it would take me, I probably lived 12 minutes from the work, that close. To take him home was like a half-hour trip almost. It would take me a half hour to go home. I'd have to take him all the way because he lived in Richfield. I lived in Eden Prairie at the time. But he would get mad. I'm like, I would tell him, I'm like, if I work here or not, I'm going to have my house in Eden Prairie. I'm going to have that Land Rover out there. But gave him a ride home in my son's Jeep, no problem. The next day he saw my Land Rover. It was like when he got in the car and noticed it was mine, his head just, you could just see the hate. And I mean, he just hated me. And this is how dirty he was. I guess he thought that I was going to go to his house. He would never let me take him home all the way. I'd have to drop him off somewhere. I think he thought, I'd be waiting for him. I'm like, man, it's easy to get at people. I know the general area you live in, dude. If I wanted you that bad, I would get you. And he probably still lived there, knowing him. But the hate he had just because he saw my ride. And I'm doing him a favor. So, yeah, their policies are Jay. It's Joe. I'm sorry, I've been saying Jay. No, it's Jay. Yeah, Jay. Jae. Yeah. The policies are putting more and more pressure. They don't like the publicity the players is giving them back because the players know better. They see through the scam. They part of the entertainment, so they see. So the players know it's a scam. So the players is doing what they can. They was trying to put that pressure on LeBron, and LeBron was like, his people came in and was like, yeah, you're not going to interrupt this during Space Jam. Well, Ben, we'll see. Because they're already threatening them with not getting paid if they have to sit out because of it. And so we see that already they're going to make this fake stuff where they get people to sit out and take their checks because of it. We already know. And that's NFL's bread and butter. Their check money. The games is when they get paid. As I said last night, they're per diems right now. They're not getting fully paid. Well, yeah, camp started. Camp starts Monday. Some rookies went all week this week. Some rookies had to report yesterday, but the NFL's camp start Monday. Everybody has to be in camp by Monday. So, and when they show up in camp, they'll get a bonus for that, and then per diem from then on. So they're not getting their checks. Office politics are a bitch to deal with. All I can do is pray. Yeah. I think they're going to be forced to fold. Or at least say they did. Do you think actually in these plunges, you think it's part of the depopulation agenda or something deeper? I think a little bit of all. I know my brother said, well, is it going to be a spin? Are they going to be safe and we're not safe, or the ones that aren't safe? But I don't see it that way. They're too vested, because every other shot, like this, these shots I take, I can't think of the name of it. It'll come to be admitted, but this shit is like $4,000 or $5,000 per shot, 5,500 per shot. The generic version that my daughter's mother has, Synetrix, whatever it's called. The stuff my daughter's mother takes is like $16,000. And here this is for free for everybody. When have they ever did that? You can't get insulin for free. You go to a doctor, you can't even get the children's shots for free. So when they give you something for free, it ain't for the greater good. And my mother always says the shots of polio, look up them records. Zach breaks that down too, but you can look it up for yourself. Look up how people were still dropping after the polio stuff was invented. Yeah, it didn't rid people of polio. It's free because we are trials. So that makes you wonder, why is it free? Ain't nothing free that come out of Uncle Imbeciles. But all of a sudden they can just pay these companies billions. And we're in a recession too. I don't care what they say. We're in a recession. Like gas right now is staying here around $2.99. You know, you go to Speedway, you get 3 cents off. So regular is $2.96 if you with Speedway. Holiday is deals where you buy shit and they give you money off of gas. So yeah, David, it is all propaganda. Exactly. People at my work getting one every 6 weeks. Wow. Every 6 weeks. Wow. So they're saying that there's going to need a booster, like the flu shot every year. And it's so funny. People do the flu shot. And I've told this story. My recent story with the flu shot was it was one of the greeters giving the flu shot. Now, I don't know her background. She could be a nurse, but she at one time was a greeter. And then one day in there, like April, March, she was in there giving flu shots, the greeter. Now, she could be a nurse, but she had a table. It said free flu shots. And then when the flu was breaking out, because the flu devastates so many people every year, they're like, well, you know, that flu shot just might not have that little bit of thing in there. And that's what they always come up. Just like, wait a minute, you push these things, and the flu shots was free. And you're saying that it doesn't cover what everybody's getting sick of. So that's why the FDA didn't approve it. Yes, it's in trials. I don't understand. Well, I mean, it is propaganda. Okay. You work in the hospital. All right. So I imagine my friend, I'm trying to convince her to come on. I imagine she's probably in the same situation because she works one of the veterans places. So her and I are kind of bouncing ideas off each other. So might be able to put a little something else together. So I imagine, you know, she's a nurse. So I imagine, I don't ask her, that's her business, but I imagine she's the flu vaccine, the flu on vacation. Yeah. Nick Taylor did a beautiful video a few years ago or a year ago. Then he was showing back in 2017 the devastation it did just in Texas alone. It was like 10,000 people in a short amount of period. And nothing was changed. Nothing was shut down. But it was like 10,000 people that at one point had died. Now Nick can correct me on the numbers, but it was higher numbers than what was reported on this thing. And nothing was changed. Nothing was shut down. As far as numbers wise, it could have been looked at as what this thing is looked at during, I think it was 17 Nick showed. So Nick was on point with that. He was on point, and nothing was changed with that because we expect that every year. I mean, I sadly lost a young cousin, maybe back in the winter of 2006. And so I've always took that kind of thing serious just because of what happened to her. And it's like, you never know. I mean, child gets it. You just don't know. How long do you wait? You just don't know. And that's why I always had the thing where I take them. Like, yeah, I can keep them out of school a day, but what do you think? So, and I'm not pro-vax. Cientrix. I'm trying to think of the name of this shit. Cientrix, whatever the fuck it's called. So I take this shit. I take a bunch of pills every day, and my cocktail for all these injuries I got, it helps me. It helps me. It helps me feel better. So I'm not a person that doesn't take drugs as far as pharmaceuticals, because I do. So you can't come at me and say, but when you come at me and say, well, take this and don't take that for a couple months, that's, to me, I'm not going to hurt for a couple months because of that. I'm not going to hurt for a couple months. And that's just my thing. So many don't want to stand for something, be alone with it. So they just doing what everyone around them does. Yeah, I think my older children are in that case. Their mother and her husband got it done. Grandparents got it done. My father, my stepmother. So, next 2 years be mandatory. CJ, you could have a point there. Could have a point there. Across the world. You could be right, CJ Jordan. And thank you for coming in. You could be right. We'll see. What are you over here for? Go lay somewhere else. Bothered my stuff. Looks like my brother-in-law's in. What's happening, Valerie? Thank you for joining. Now, I wish I could have got my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is like, you think my boys are big? He's bigger than he's probably shorter than them now. I think him and Brennan are about both 6'4", 6'5", but Cam is 6'6", and the baby man is in here. He's gone. He went out tonight. He's about 6'5.5", and he claims he lost weight. He's about 250. But their uncle is huge. I bet their uncle about 6'4", 6'5", 215. No, about 260. I bet he's a big dude too. He's a big little boy. When he was real little, I'd tear him up like all my children. He was just a chubby little boy. We was in kindergarten, boom, boom, and tickling him and stuff. He said, I made funny faces. That's what made him laugh. He's like, you made the funny faces. He's like, it wasn't the tickling that was funny. It was all those faces you made. And that's my children play. My brothers, I play with my brothers the same way. And I know they're with their respective family. They play with their children the same way. So. But it's an individual choice. It's an individual choice. I'm not, I ain't got nothing bad to say about anybody. If you have to choose, that's you, and you go on. But I've given my reasons, and those are my reasons. Again, if I wasn't on these other medications, I would consider it. But when they told me that I got to not take this that makes me feel good, hey, Ryan. So that was something that made me pause. I'm like, I don't know. And that cost, the doctor gets kicked back from what I take, Synentrix. I'll think of it in a second. But the doctor gets paid. She gets paid every time I get some. Well, I guess that don't come from her. It comes from my rheumatologist. But my rheumatologist gets paid. So it's a lot of money than them saying not to, it's just a lot of money. I'm watching the highlights. I like it. Cubed is more old school. With the Olympics is more fast paced, and with the clock. Yeah. I like that continuous play aspect of the 3-on-3, and that must be the World League 3-on-3 compared to what Ice Cube does is what he's doing exactly what the Gus Macker did. The only difference is Ice Cube done is he takes it from stadium to stadium, but it's definitely the idea of the Gus Macker is definitely the same thing. It's the same thing. Hey man, should the same weird stuff at these Olympics? Of course, the Olympics ain't free Olympics where the best just wins. It's all political. It's all organized, where it's all fixed. I mean, no, you can't find hardly anything on the national scene of sports that aren't controlled. And you can bet on the Olympics. Look it up. You can bet on the Olympics. So anytime there's a betting line for anything, it is scripted. And so the Olympics are scripted as well. Ronaldo Nehemiah, I think that was his name. He played pro football, killing it all, going up to the Olympics, killing it. And then he gets it to the Olympics and he's hitting hurdles and stuff. Who was the woman? There was a woman like that. Every time she was messing up, she'd be the top person going in every time. And then this poor sister because of smoking weed, don't you know? Okay, the Olympics, when the Olympics ends, this chick just getting a fee of $250,000. So within 4 or 5 weeks, she's going to be running again on the world stage, some kind of nationals. So already so she's making money not being in the Olympics. So it really hasn't hurt her at all. She took the bag and it's like, yeah, we're going to sit you out of this one. But she ain't went away. You know, for the ESPYs, she got an appearance fee. You know that, don't you? When she was at the ESPYs, there's an appearance fee that she gets paid for showing up. So I'm guessing with the best wins ends at high school and script starts at college. As I was saying, we were in games. Now, I can't say I knew the betting lines when I played. I really didn't. But I never understood why we kept, like, we played 3 deep. So we played 4 linebackers. And, like, the defensive coordinator never had adjustment. It was like blitz was his answer for everything. And we would get picked apart because you got man everywhere else. You got man on both sides, and you got a safety covering the tight end. And then you asking a linebacker to be on one-on-one with the back. And the 3 deep stuff, I mean, you got one-on-one. And so if you ain't getting at him, so that part I didn't understand. We had a veer coach, so we ran the ball a lot. He was forced to throw it because, again, people was picking up on that veer. So he was forced to try to stretch the field. So, yeah, pretty much so. Look at the hands. That's funny, CJ. I bet on the game or play DraftKings for Olympic basketball. There you go. See? Yeah. So they're scripted. Yeah, Shakara is not hurting at all. No, she's not. They gave her the bag before. And I reported this before I went to Michigan. So a couple weeks ago, I read about that. So, yeah. Yeah, that's been a thing. She ain't hurting. Come dead last in finals. Yeah, normalized. Nia Houston, mixed Asian American and best skater in the world, who damn near never loses, skates 4 straight O's, and the winner was Japanese. There you go. Come out dead last. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Even you can take the ice, the skating. I mean, even that stuff, there's odds. And that's the way you look if it's scripted. If it's odds on it, it's scripted. It's scripted. Like today, the Twins played the Angels. He had him no hit into the 7th. And then he gives up a double. And then they take him out. The double gets a run in, and they end up winning. But his no-hitter was broke up. He gave up 1 hit. And that dude who got a double off him, that run scored. So that was accumulated to him. But it was a no-hitter up to us. They still won, but they broke up the no-hitter. And his stuff was just as good as, but they gave up the double, they gave up the no-hitter. So you can see how, whereas they got these other teams that throw a team no-hitter. The first guy goes 6-7 innings, no hits, and then the reliever pitcher comes in and they no hit. I'd never heard of that happening at all. That relievers can come in and no hit too. Generally, the relievers are put in that position because they're relievers. So, basket Baylor. Do you think other stars want to go to the Bucks and play with Giannis? No one wants to live in Milwaukee, especially brothers. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Most of the melanated people live in Wisconsin, in this little town where all my old friends are from. It's south of Kenosha. It'll come to me. Maybe it won't. What is that town? It's right on Lake Superior. No, it's right on Lake Michigan. And most of the brothers in Wisconsin live in Milwaukee in that little area. So Wisconsin is all almost European. And so it was voted one of the worst players for melanated people to live. So why would players want to go there? I mean, the skyline looks nice, but you see medium cities with skylines as nice as you see there. And that area ain't near big as this area. I mean, this area is, the Twin Cities is what, 3.1? We're the 16th biggest city. That's why they only got pro baseball and pro basketball. Pro football is up in Green Bay, and there's really nothing up there. Pretty scenery, but I mean, who wants to hang out up there? It gets cold. It gets cold up there. Hey, did I say what happened to Tiger Strong? Thanks for joining. Was any agenda for Giannis getting the win? Of course. The push to him has always been the foreign board players. That's been the thing. Going back to San Antonio. as I was saying, in the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see the league be 50% European-born players, 50% Americans. The American jobs are going to go away. And as I said before, Ghana's picked at the 15th round. American player wouldn't have got 2 years to develop like he did. He got 2 years to develop. Dirk Nowitzki damn near got 3. And then when he was done, they kept him. This dude was done, ankle destroyed. They kept him. So that kept an American player having to go to the G League, go in China, go over to Europe. Oh, and China basketball is back up, I found out. They said on the TNT stuff that dudes was playing in China again. I don't know if y'all heard that. And that's the top league right now. That's the feeder league is from China. It's not Europe anymore. It's not Israel. It's not England. It's China. China is the top league now. And that's because of the Nike contract and all that. So that's where most dudes step is either the G League in the league, China in the league. So if they thinking about a person with 10-day contracts, it's hard for them to dudes from China to have them 10-day contracts, but they bring them over here. And then if they can't play right away, they'll stick them in the G League and then instead of sending them all the way back to China. So because now it's the two-way contracts. You can have a contract for the G League, and you can have a new contract with the NBA, and you'll get the going rate, what depending on your experience. That's why a lot of college players is just like it's been every year 3 or 4 college players going straight into the G League because the G League is paying a lot better. They're paying a lot better. And I don't know if you guys, I'm trying to think there's a G League team in Iowa. Trying to think there's one near, but these G League do pretty well in these cities where people love basketball. So. But my point is the best players in the world are in America. And they have been trying hard for the best player in the world to come from somewhere else because Ghana's come from Nigeria. Why is his brothers in the league? His brothers sit on the bench. Why? Why are they taking American jobs? You telling me it ain't other dudes 6'7", 6'8" that with real skill better than 2 dudes? The one brother, both brothers aren't that good, but they're in the league because of agenda. That's all. You feel autism is a blessing or a curse. Wow. You know, my nephew suffers from that. He's 7. And at one time, they didn't even think he was going to speak. My nephew lives with my brother in Michigan. And I'll say this, during COVID, he was still able to go get his treatment every day. So he was able to still to go to school and get his therapy every day. And he talks. I mean, he can have conversations. This person who they didn't think would talk at all. And now he's obsessed with the planets and stuff. And we bought him, I picked out a projector where you can get the planets and you can project them. And so actually you can have the stars rotating around. It was a pretty nice little setup, but it was like perfect for him. So, you know, he can sit in his room and he obsesses with them because that's a lot of, you know, autism. Remember Rain Man, he kind of obsessed with numbers. He's somewhat like that. And so we're thinking of ways to take his obsessions and say, well, you can expand it here, you can expand it here, you can expand it there. So I know there's a lot of cases where the children seem fine, and then they've got the vaccinations as children. Seemed like it changed them. The boy that lives under me that I give food to all the time. And that's why, you know, I had to say that about the witch, because the witch is trying to pull shit on me and he's getting affected. I mean, he's living with fleas. Now, I know his mother should have got the dog treated, but, you know, I mean, his ankles is all bit up. I mean, he was bad earlier in the week. But I had to get on her because that shit come from her. So as far as me, it seems like it eased up. But for him, because her magic is fucked up. You got fucked up magic, you know. She was embarrassed and she tried to attack me anyway. And I guess bugs was the only way she could think of something to fuck with me with. And, you know, she's like, you know, you see the cartoon, the witch try to hit something and it bounce off some shit. That's probably what happened. Dumas, there's also narrative that all Giannis brothers with him have rings. One with the Lakers last season, the other 2 this season. Yep. Looks like they pushing it hard. Exactly. The brother that got a ring with the Lakers, a lot of times he wasn't even dressed. Yep. Kotas got a ring and Bron with AD. That's right. He did. And rode the bench. He wasn't even dressing some days. So it wasn't just DNPs. He didn't dress to get the DNP, which means did not play. This environment, the system is causing all these mental disorders. Could be. Yugmal said in his podcast that the flu gave his son autism. That's why he ain't messing with this. I understand. There's more stories than like that. A lot of dysfunction nowadays, a lot of mental disorders and mental illness. Yeah. I mean, like even circumcision. Why? That is the Jewish faith people's ritual. Why do we do the Jewish faith people's ritual? Why? Why are we doing that? That's not an American thing. The Native Americans didn't do that. My people on the East Coast didn't do that. The Wampanoags, we didn't do that on the East Coast. So why are we treating our babies? My oldest was born, did not cry until he got circumcised. And I hear screaming down the hall, and I knew it was him. He did not cry. He was born, he was content. Now, my nephew that just passed, they found out he had the blood disorder, so they couldn't circumcise him. So I think, you know, when he even passed, he still hadn't been circumcised. And it's more cut off than what they tell you. It for a man, there's several other parts that they cut off that they don't tell you. A person put a very interesting diagram. My physiology anatomy book had it, and it's more cut off than what they tell you. It ain't just the tip. It's a lot more in there. DMD did not dress. Yep. Yeah. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Why do we do that? That's what I'm saying. The Jesuits ain't making nobody. See, Zach want to tell you the Jesuits ain't making you circumcise your children. Tell them that you don't want them circumcised and see how many doctors come in. Just like when people is saying no to these plunges, try not to circumcise your child. So why are we doing their tradition? Christians didn't do that. Christians just follow what they do. The Christians do use their books, though. Old Testament is their book. It is their book. It's not a Christian book. The Old Testament is the Jewish faith people's history in their book. My brother acts like he acts slow. I have friends. I know some women that probably are. But they're functional. They're okay. But it's just a little bit there that you can see that just understanding and stuff. Hey, Tyrone, what's happening? They want to introduce trauma for future mind control. That's a good point. And it's a thing that they don't. It makes a child coming into this world that feels loved and comforted. It makes that child untrusting. It's a psychological thing that makes a male child not trust the world, because the world gave him pain when being born, most cases, ain't painful. To be born ain't painful. And that my boy was content. And they did that. He hollered. He hollered. And he hadn't cried up to that point. He just started breathing, peed on the doctor's arm. We was holding him, and they took him because what did I know better? In 1989, I wasn't fully activated. I wasn't fully aware. My knowing wasn't strong enough. I mean, even with City, and I had two boys back to back, one in 01 and one in 02. And my youngest was in 02. So I didn't know better. No joke, sick world. Yes, elites probably buy the foreskin. Well, I've said before, when I did quality at the meat plant, they would butcher, like calves have babies, they didn't care. If the cows got butchered, had babies, they took the babies, they would put air, they would still kill the calves, cut the babies out, because they weren't fully mature baby cows yet, but they would take them out, they would blow them up with oxygen, with air, they would blow these things up like balloons, then they would let the air out of them, and they would pack them in a box, because these things is only, I know everybody can't see, but like about long as this. They ain't that big. And they would take everything out of them because the bones and stuff ain't really set yet. They're not really true bones. And they would put them in a box. I mean, it was the smallest box. And they sent it to the same where the Jewish faith people go. They send it to that same place in New York. That was the address. I was nosy. I was like, where does this shit keep going? Every day they were sending that shit to them. What did they need an unborn calf for? Makes you think. They put Nephilim in the bag. Maybe. When did you get fully aware, David Valerity? David, I mean, I've said this. I astro traveled in 81 and it made me push through the veil. And in the back of my mind, that never went away. And it was like, wow, what is this? There's more to this. It's like no one had ever told me about that. 1981, who do you talk to that about? I had never even, again, I'm just coming out of college. I'm still around the college because my ex didn't graduate till 83. So I'm still around the college. I'm talking to people trying to figure out. Nobody told me that I'd astro travel. I didn't find that out until probably 5 or 6. And again, when they tried to kill me in Michigan, I mean, it was over I was just at this stage. It had led me to Gnosticism. So I wasn't even anywhere near deep as I am, but I love to study. I keep getting this information and then getting the information. I'm really good at adapting it. It's like most people with this book would read it and really think that it's just these women that can possess people. Seven Bomber talks about how they cut off the head so the spirit can come out the ass. So a lot of people read this and think, no. The shit this book shows you is it trumps the astral plane, etherical realm, all that. This is a way that you can move through all this shit like almost like a window or old Dutch door. This right here kicks that. It's like this is the best way to move because no matter what protection they put up, there's a door. That's why I told the witch, let her keep that color in her house. Ain't no protection she can do. You're going to have to repaint your house. You're going to have to get rid of that color that's your favorite color. Because as long as that color is in her house, I can get at you, honey. I can get at you. It's like, here's another thing. I had a vision the other day, and I had to hit my one friend in Michigan. I had to hit her, and I'm like, do you take your hair, do you like to move your hair? Do you do this and then push it away? She's like, no, I do just flick my head. This is no cap. I'm watching my feed. I think she's a stripper too, but she works at a bar. She's from here in Minnesota, but she works for a strip bar in Wisconsin, but this chick goes all over. I'm watching her because, the Facebook has the little bitty shorts. Sure enough, this is what this chick does. She's like got a real tight outfit on, and she's like a Marilyn Monroe type of chick. And she puts her hand here and brushes it off her neck like that, like I had my vision. I'm like, damn, I saw that 2 days ago. I couldn't tell because I was meditating and somebody came in and I saw that. And I was trying to figure out who did it. I couldn't tell. I watched this chick do it, something I saw 2 days ago. But to get it 360, like I'm good at studying this kind of stuff because it's only like the truth in this book is only at the very end. And even Bomber didn't get what he read because the whole thing tells you that they cut off heads, they got to get the blood, and they're capturing spirits. But at the end of the book, there's one person that the writer, I think her name is Janice Brody is her name. And how does she spell her name? Yeah, it's Janice Boddy, Boddy. I think this is a University of Wisconsin book. But there's a part at the end where a person, one of the young ladies came and stopped her. She said, She said, on such and such, you went to see this movie, and this is what the movie theater looked like. Then you went out to eat after the movie. You guys smoked this kind of cigarette, and then this is what your house looks like. This is a person in Sudan that had never been out of Sudan, but yet she's sitting there telling this doctor. So the point is, you don't need all that blood to use this magic. to use power. I think it's one of the most powerful things. Hey, Jody, thank you for joining. Color Magic. Hey, Crazy Sarge, what's happening? So I'm one of the best at being able to use this stuff, use this stuff. And I try to explain it to make it practical, because magic, it's a practical thing too. And a lot of people don't be practical with it. That's why I push so much to use telepathy when you drive, because we naturally use it the most anyway. But really, like when you're in stores, I'll be fucking with people. I'll be like, scratch your back. And a person in front of me scratch your back. I had a person like could tell something was happening to them. They turned around and looked. I'll be having people like just do stupid shit, like turn around, look at me, turn around, look at me. You hit them and they'll turn around and they're like, I just fuck with people. I like, start bouncing one foot, just fucking with people. And I have friends that'll be with me like, you fucking with them, quit fucking with them. But just little things. But driving and telepathy is the easiest to really master for all of us. Again, the energy of driving, it's the troll under the bridge. It really is. There's something that feeds off gasoline engine waste. And that's why our skies are so bad. If you look at petroleum is almost like it's the planet's lifeblood. That's what people don't realize. It's like when I talk about living in primal times, and I mean when it was just the earth was just liquid. That's what the oceans looked like. The oceans looked, it was nothing but oceans. So that's how the water or whatever it was, that's how it looked. Everything was just, and you could build anything off of this. You could turn it into anything. That's why the beings that the oldest that live around this planet, they're from that. Because at one point they had to leave, but they're from that. They come from that though. They lived during those periods. I hate watching old music videos and songs and seeing comments like "still watching." Then comments are so robotic or ignoring. I got aware of some stuff at 15. There you go. I mean, you can get quite personally into the largest difference I noticed since switching to plant-based and lack of hostility and self-control. And that's another thing about eating meat is like, you suffer the way that most of the animals suffer. That suffering goes into the food you eat somewhat too, unless you eat like fish. But like the chickens' lives are so terrible. I mean, some places are decent where the chickens live on the floor, but most chickens live like 10, 11 in a cage, and their lives are so terrible, and they're so amped up on these drugs they give them. I mean, again, I've watched cows have heart attacks. When I was doing quality at the slaughter plant, it was cows that would have heart attacks. And then there was cows damn near big as moose. Like, where do they come from? It's cows 6 feet back, be 6 foot high. And I'm like, I've never seen a cow that big, because moose and elk are huge, 6.5, 7 feet backs. And I'm looking at a cow damn near this big. And I told the story before, these two dudes, all they did is cut throats. Like they would kill 300 per shift. And all these dudes would do is all day is death, 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 death. And then there was these two dudes that was chained to the wall, and they just cut off the quarters. They had these huge saws, and it looked like some science fiction shit. And they're just each side at the same time with these big ass saws, and they're chained to the wall and shit. You just cut that shit off. And this one dude had a beard like this, and he wouldn't even take a shower. He took all that blood, and I don't know if he had a family, who he went home to, but it's like there was a shower there. And this dude would just walk straight to his car, grab his coat or whatever, and all that blood and all that death. I mean, at least you want to cleanse yourself of that, cleanse yourself. So find it hard to maintain weight on plant-based due to it being leaner and taller, but I know how spiritual benefits going to make it worth it. My 2 daughters was such a shock at first. There you go. Yeah. Shooting up the cows with them. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and like plant-based is expensive. I mean, we got a World Foods, ain't that what's called? World Foods or Whole Foods, whatever it's called. That shit is high as hell. I mean, we got a regular shop that is, this stuff come from local places, and this shit is hell. Shit is high. I went and got some greens the other day, and I saw a brother next to me. He was getting some greens too. It's like, yeah, but that stuff, everybody eats that stuff, and that stuff is high. And like in the city, you can get canned greens, but not out here where I live. I mean, not enough people would buy that. So I only found out yesterday that our major rivers in the world are from catastrophic water path events from the past. A scientist mentioned this after a major flood in Germany last week. Somewhat. They're part of the big blue or blue ox line. There you go. Yeah, Whole Foods. Yeah. Meditation essential to your lifestyle. I will say this. What did the saying say when they asked the Buddha that? He said, I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I don't get jealous. And so meditation is the one time that you can turn everything off and be internal. You turn everything off. You turn the world off and you just turn internal. Now, again, the goal of meditation is preparing you for death, because you have to leave your body before you die, or you don't know what to do when you die. And the key of it all is to take memory into death. That's the key. And a lot of this is to stop you from taking memory into death. Because if you don't take memory into death, the first time you see something, because what they hit you with is they hit you with the Borgia, which however the Borgia looks to you, they hit you with the Borgia or they hit you with a family member. Like, remember Boob Whisper, go to the light, Johnny? No, you want to go opposite the light. If you pass and you see a big light, you go the other way. Because the light is deception. The light is the lie. Because they're telling you reincarnation, that means you get fed upon. You might get to reincarnate. That ain't a given either. Because the ones that want to take you into the light they feed on souls. Now, free will is the free to die and go wherever you want. That's the real free will. You can go to all the universe. We live on the edge of the universe. There's a central sun, and we can go there. See, what happens is with the false beliefs is you get whatever you imagine, and you create it. And then you there for you don't know how long, because eternity is like that for eternity. And something's eating on your shit. And you like, what's going on? This is heaven. What could be eating my heaven? And these monsters just come and eat all that shit you made, and you just stuck. You just a lost soul. And so what are you going to do again? The first thing that comes by, you're going to stick on to it. And that might be worse than the things that just ate your heaven. So memory to death is the key. Memory into death. And that's really the practice. Like today, I didn't really realize that I had left my body, and then my head slumped because I was meditating and my head slumped. But when my head slumped, the shit just like, woof, the room just like opened up. Because it's like I was like this, and then my head kind of went down. And soon as like the second that my head went down, the whole room just like, and I have a blindfold. So everything, these lights and all these creations, I'm creating a lot of this, but it's like it just opened up. And I was like, I didn't realize I was that deep. Because I was just my air conditioner is loud as hell, so I just had some water sounds on. I had the Apple, whatever you stick in your ears and shit. And so it's like acupuncture is the way to talk to the inside of your body. The meridians. You have meridians inside of you, and meridians speak to. It's a way that you can directly speak to the healing parts of you. That's kind of what chakras want to tell you. They just put it in a different way. The chakras tell you, that these worlds are working with the meridians. But it ain't just 7 chakras. I've had a room full of worlds like that. Yeah, I can release all these, but what about all them? They don't talk about all them. And so that's why I don't really teach it. I don't really talk about it a lot, because I can't tell you or teach you how to make all them other worlds, because it's not just 7. It looks like a galaxy full of worlds that come out of you. So, but acupuncture, because I say a little prayer right before, I'm like, I'm trying to put the best in you. I know this sugar ain't good. I know this isn't good, but I'm trying to do the best I can. I do this to talk to you, to show you that I'm making, I'm at least trying, at least trying. I've been walking and shit and all that too. So, I'm gonna make the change soon. I feel they pushing vegan so much, makes me question it sometimes. Yeah. What's your thoughts on pushing vegan agenda? I don't really think they pushing it. I don't really think they're pushing it. Again, it's expensive. It's expensive to be a vegetarian. In the wintertime here, I mean, I can get some greens, because you should eat greens every day. And that's, I'll switch a little bit. Like, your plate should have a variety of colors, not just brown. Meat is basically just brown, even chicken and fish. They have like just, your plate should have a variety of colors. Like a rainbow of colors should be on your plate. Your plate shouldn't just be brown. Your plate should have all these colors. And so that's the thing, is a mix. Like, I don't really eat a lot of pork, but I get hamburgers with bacon on them. I don't know. Me and my son was arguing, and he might have been right, because I thought it was a pork shoulder, but I think it was a T-bone, because the bone was a T-bone in it. So it might have been a T-bone. So maybe it wasn't. But sometimes if I got shoulders in my freezer, I'll make chopped pork. And sometimes the pork does get me sick, I admit, because I just don't like, I won't eat sausage. Hot links, which I love hot links. There's only a couple places here that have real Chicago style hot links. Most pork I just don't eat, not really. Like even ribs. I'm not a great rib eater anymore. And all my children was raised on ribs. And I don't really eat them a lot anymore. My daughter wants them, I'll cook them. Or if they cook some, they smoke some, and they got extras, okay, I might eat them just so it won't go bad or something. But I don't go out my way. Normalize says, good luck with your journey of self-advancement and honesty. I think they push it because they believe they can mainstream and utilize it. I don't touch beyond meat impossible. Hey, Gray, what's happening? Thanks for joining. I just barbecued some pork shoulder. Oh, there you go. You just barbecued. Yeah. That's what I thought it was. Now my son marinated for a couple of days. And this is my son's way of doing things. Oh, shit. My son's way of doing things is he marinates the meat. And it was like yesterday was like the meat wasn't going to be any good. So he marinates it. And then I'm like, man. So before I went to bed last night, I put whatever it is. I think now it was a steak. I've never heard of beef steak shoulder. So it might have been pork, because it said shoulder, but it did have a T-bone, so I don't know. But anyway, so I took that out. I put that in, put a little broth in it, and then I had taken some thighs out that I had to cook too. And so there was boneless thighs. And so I stuck all that in there. I just cut up some onions, and about 3 o'clock, when I got done in here last night, about 3, I put it on there, and I didn't get up until, let me see, I went to bed at about 3:30 after I got done with that. So I started smelling it. I started smelling it about 9:30. And I wasn't ready to get up at 9:30. So I get up about 11:30, 12, something like that. But when I came out, it was, of course, it'd been done, but I could smell it. I remember smelling it when I got up and went to the bathroom at 9:30. I was like, this stuff done. And that's why I got on my son. I'm like, you say I never cook for you. And then when I do cook, you ain't here. You ain't around. Oh, you don't cook at the right time. This is what he told me. I don't cook at the right time. So if you go to a restaurant and then you change your mind and leave, and then you call the restaurant and tell them you're hungry about 3 hours later, is it the restaurant's fault that you left? It's not the restaurant's fault that you left. So I'm like, you eat when I cook. If not, you eat leftovers. So, and he won't cook. He'll grill every now and then. But his idea of grilling is I had one, you can get the super big bags of what's the blue and white stuff, the charcoal commercial stuff. You can get the big bags, like Costco got the big bags. He used half a bag. What did we cook? 6 hamburgers and 4 sausages. He used half a bag. And I got a smoker griller. I got the grill part and then the little smoker on the side of it. He used a half a bag for 6 hamburgers and 4 hot dogs. I went out there and looked at that fire. I'm like, son, you used a half a bag. Don't use a half a bag. You can use like a little square like this. So he killed a big bag. And I mean, one of them big Costco bags. Yeah. I had to keep checking it to make sure the shit went out. It's that fire he built must have stayed on for about 5 hours. Must have stayed lit for 5 hours. So, best book for spiritually, I don't know if that's such a thing. One book I like is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Matter of fact, I have a better version of that because it has more pictures to understand the gods that you're dealing with. But it gives examples of how to help people when they die. I have another book on death too, but it's like really everyone says you should, like when you die, your head should be in the east and your feet should be in the west. That's what Tibetans teach. And they also teach if you're with a person when they're passing, you want to rub their head, because technically you want to come out like this. You want to come straight out when you die. You don't want to come out your ears. You don't want to come out your nose. Women, you don't want to come out your vagina. You don't want to come out your ass. Man, you don't want to come out your penis. You want to come straight out your crown. You want to shoot out of your crown. And so that's why if a person is passing, you want to do this to help them find that. And the reason is you don't get 100%. I guess that's the best way I can say it. Of what could be coming, you won't get 100%. The reality is less. I guess that's the best way I could say it, is like you're going to have less of what could be coming. So the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and I'll show this copy again. If you watch, I'm not coming on again to Monday after this. But that's a great book to start with. It just gives you an understanding. And then another thing that it gives you understanding too is if you do, like one thing that I don't believe in shamanism, and I don't believe in anything, but specifically shamanism, is because shamans have to work with a daemon or a demon. That ain't necessary. That step ain't necessary. But what they do, one thing that they do tell you though, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead tells you this too, is like, I believe in directional energies and the center. There's 5 directions. There's, northeast, south, and west, and there's a center. And there's different levels of each direction. So saying this, with each direction, the Tibetan Book of the Dead show you the possibility of the type of beings that run those directions. And I know that sounds movie-ish, but that's kind of how it is. Shaman teach you how to give respect, because shaman go through the spirit animal, and then the spirit animal will take you in front of, and that's where the term gatekeeper really comes from. There are keepers of these gates going into these different directions. You know how they go and you go to the Sphinx and have to tell the riddle and shit? Well, that's kind of what they're telling you. They're telling you there's these gatekeepers or these beings that you're going to come across. And so you have to have the proper gifts, because it's not just about getting in there. They've seen it all through centuries. It's not too much that they haven't come across. So what gift can you give to them to be able to pass through as respect? Because if not, they'll send them hounds at your ass. And can your spirit animal get away from that shit? but the point is you're going to these realms to try to get something done. And you don't want that to stop you. You don't want to, because the procedure, Tibetan Book of the Dead shows you what you could possibly come through. And one of the best things they say is you can make an unagreeable entity agreeable. And don't get fooled. Like, remember in the thing of Christ, the little pretty angel. Remember, he says, "I'm not the one." A little pretty angel that turned out to be the devil tells him, "No, you are not the one." So you can't even get, the smiling face, the cute God or angel-like face. You can't be fooled by that either. Because that face, because that's, how do I want to release this? So when you meditate, you can run into beings and you can hear beings. And one thing a being always wants to tell you, and I said this last night, is they want to tell you that you'll say, "Well, why am I here?" And the beings tell you to save the world. Well, that is not any of our jobs. That is not your job. Your job is to save yourself. But see, these archons, or whatever you want to call them, they're going to tell you that you have to take the world on your shoulder. and that's false information. And so you have to move on from that. You're like, oh, okay, I'm okay with you. Okay. So you can be agreeing. I'm pondering on death every day. Makes you realize how crazy it was. We are here. Yeah. Hey, Sebastian, thank you for joining. Oh, kind. Peace and love back to you. Very kind words. Yourself is the world. There you go. You have to save yourself. So they lie to you. So you're thinking you're getting this spiritual information, and then you come back and you want to take the world on your shoulders. No, that's a falsehood. That, again, a smiling face could tell you. Yeah, your own personal world, though. That's right, Jody. That's right. And Jody, you got to come back on. You got a wealth of information too. So you hit me one day. And you can come on. You can come on the Galactic Patio with me. Because PJ, you were supposed to hang out with me tonight, but if you was busy, I know how it is. You think heaven can be on earth? For some people, they think this is. Well, let me go back to what I was saying. The troll under the bridge. There are beings that really control this highway stuff. Like I was saying, we've got the turnstiles here. We've got now across the country, they got the roundabout. Oh, the clover leaves. That's the word I'm looking for. Here in Minnesota, you got clover leaves. Milwaukee and Minneapolis, Milwaukee and Chicago, they have that snake energy. You look at it, if you can see it from above, it's like a snake goes from Milwaukee. Their highways are snakes. Here we have the clover leaves. And why do you think they want the roundabouts? Why do you think the roundabouts been in other countries? The troll under the bridge loves that. That's why we still using this gas. There are beings that love the atmosphere poison, love the land poison. They love the water poisoned. So they ain't getting rid of these engines. For those old enough to remember laughing, there was always a thing making jokes on how they would get rid of people that could make a car run on water. They would make it was like a jokey joke kind of thing. There's been Henry Ford's first car was electric. Carl Benz' first car was electric. So electric cars been a thing. I mean, hell, 1918, 1919, before the earthquake, you can see where they was using electric cars in San Francisco, New York. So electric cars been around forever. This ain't nothing new. But these beings love the burned. They love the driving. And that's why I'm not telling people to drink and drive, but the energy of drinking and driving goes with driving. It's the same energy. That's why when you smoke bud, you tend to drive slow because it's the opposite energy. Smoking bud and driving is opposite. Drinking and driving is the same energy. That's why if you are drunk and you can click in, I've told this story before, and I know people laugh at me. But I watched this air traffic controller. I was sitting waiting for my uncle to come up. My uncle had a fifth of old granddad, some rock gut. A fifth ain't that much. This dude poured, it was a skinnier glass, but he poured it this much. He smoked the square, drink all that in about 15 minutes. He drank damn near this much straight old granddad in about 15 minutes. Now he didn't live far. He only had to pull off Canterbury, go down Nichols Road, and Indian Prairie could probably be a back way he went home. So he didn't live far. But I walked with him because I was like, I wanted to see him drive. I knew how much he consumed. I walked with him, and he had old K-Car. K-Car was the car that made Chrysler not go out of business. They was old little boxy cars. But I walked him to his K-Car. I watched him sit in. I ain't seen him start. Now, I'm standing right next to him. I didn't see him start the car. I didn't see him put the car in gear. From my vantage point, it looked like he got in the car backed up, the car backed out the driveway, backed up, and that car drove him. I'm sitting there, and I'm still to this day, I'm looking at him. He didn't start the car. He just sat down in the car. I ain't seen him pull out the keys. The car started. I did not see him put the car in gear because they had the gear shift up here. I didn't see him put the car in gear, and I'm standing right out the window looking at him. And this car literally drove his drunk ass home. But my point is that, and I'm not telling people to go out there and be drunk driving, but I'm saying this is the problem. If too many people got killed while you drove, and those if you've heard me before, and I'm going to say it again, this thing can't let people constantly get killed driving, not in large numbers. So that's why sometimes when you drink and drive, if you can plug into the vibration, it'll take you home. You'll make it because the energies match. The energies really match. You remember Cheek and Chong smoking a joint and they going 5 miles an hour down the highway because the energies don't. I have to catch myself. I smoke and then I'll get in my car. I have to catch myself that I'm not keeping up. Oh, Ray Montan, peace. What's happening? On the Brazil slave trade? Okay. I'll try to look some of that up. I don't know a whole lot. I'll say this, just top of my head is the slavery in Brazil is the slavery like they say in America. It started more over there. You have the Maroons that fought them, that was escaped. But again, you had a country of dark people already. And so if you look at Ghana and Brazil, that's one of the closest points. So that's why so many Africans did go in Brazil, because more Africans went into islands and went into South America than went into North America. Right now, the numbers are from Africa. The numbers are like 100,000. I think the newest information of the manifest, it's only 100,000 that came to America. So a lot of Africans, again, why would they need Africans when you had all the people? And that gets into the Civil War shit. I mean, it's so much lies that they tell you. Slavery really didn't start till the 1890s and it ended in the 1960s. Matter of fact, it might have went on because I've told the story of my ex-wife, the way she grew up. And from my perspective, looking at the way my ex-wife lived, slavery didn't end until the 80s in North Carolina. But basically, by then you had to get paid. But in 1960, it was still people living down south not getting paid. And this is during civil rights times. And what is my favorite thing to say? If you don't believe that information, look it up. Slavery was Jim Crow. That was the true slavery, because what happened is people that was considered poor white trash became, matter of fact, Lincoln freed them. That's who got freed, was poor white trash got freed. Now you can read and see a lot of them Southerners did not have slaves. And if they didn't have slaves, they wasn't working. What did Dame just show? You can see contracts. So that shit selling the families. Well, what did 12 years a slave happen when they sold the family? She went crazy. So she wasn't going to be a functional slave anymore, huh? So do you think they did that on a wide thing, breaking up families like that, knowing that a person would go crazy? Don't you know during slavery, you could leave that house and go work for another place? Or you could go to your family to sharecrop. Sharecropping was going on since about the 1700s. So that slavery bullshit, that Uncle Tom Cannon shit, that's fantasy. That's fantasy. And if you don't think black folks fall for the South, again, the easiest thing is to look at Texas, and you'll see all the melanated generals. When in the North, you had 77 generals fighting out of Europe, and most of them was what? The Jewish faith people. And that's really what the war was about. They wasn't enough in them lands, and they wanted them lands. They didn't need them. They made so much money, they didn't need them. Oh, and you can look at the Jewish faith people in slavery. American slavery up north. Look that up. Several books about it. And I'll say the LB, whatever, the Logan dude, he was right. There was slavery. There was a lot of slavery in the North that they don't want to tell you about. Maryland had slavery. Kentucky had slavery. Tennessee had slavery. They didn't stop them from being slaves. What does emancipation say? In the South. But it freed mostly the Europeans that was in bondage. That's who it freed. And if you don't think they look down on them people, go into Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind shows you what they thought of those people. Them people wasn't dominant then. Nothing but poor white trash. Don't talk to them. They poor white trash. They show you. If you pay attention, they show you how shit really was. So all that slavery shit is just fucking lies. Slavery started in Reconstruction. That was the true American slavery. That was the worst time, was Reconstruction. I started paying attention to the Tesla when I saw an Asian man on the highway and was on an iPad instead of his hands on the wheel. You can get the new Navigators do that too. Well, the new Navigators, you just got to touch it. Like while you drive, you just touch it. Cadillacs, you can get certain Cadillacs like that too. You just touch it. You ain't got to be like this. You can just touch it. It's that they're building a highway from Ann Arbor to Detroit maybe, and it's got them because they've had non-driving cars since '95. I read an article in '95. I think San Diego was the first part of the country. They had 200 miles going out of San Diego, and they had to have them sensors. Matter of fact, it was '95. What was not the New Yorker or Park Avenue? What was the one under the Park Avenue? The car under Park Avenues. That's what most LeSabres. Yeah, they had Buick LeSabres, '95 Buick LeSabres. That's how far the drivingless cars have been. But they had sensors, and now the sensors are, by the satellites and all that. So, Perspective Gaming. What's happening? I tried open a few minds. We're gonna hang soon. I woke up late and didn't do nothing, so I was gonna. Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You'll catch me whenever you feel inspired. Just hit me up. I'm pretty open to having people on the Galactic Patio, so I'm pretty open. So I left my cigar too long by the fan. I tell you, I don't know if I could smoke cigarettes. This tobacco kick in when nicotine kicks in. Woo! That is a equilibrium mover, boy. And I mostly because doing this damn thing gives you a dry mouth, and so these help. But when this nicotine kicks in, I don't know how people smoke. Woo! It is just, it's. I feel very uneasy. I'll hit this thing, and oh my goodness. This is the best thing they ever invented. This really is. I prefer the wax. But my brother gave me like a half ounce of bud. So I've been smoking joints. And I am the worst joint roller. I won't do blunts. Fuck that. I won't smoke nicotine. I'll smoke a cigar maybe once every so many years. But I'd rather just chew on them. But they help with the throat. Do you see Santa's Bounty? Yes, Jody, I did see him today. I did see him. This is called Hamilton Devices. They've got a skinnier one, but it doesn't hold much water. And like this holds water up here and it holds water down there. And then the wax concentrate. And actually you could put 2 wax or you can put carts in here too. So you could technically put 2 carts in here too. So to do both. And I bought this thinking I could put it on my other thing. I didn't know what it was for. So I got 2 of these. So, but this was like $70. And I tell you, wax lasts. It's no comparison how little wax. You can get a gram, and a gram could last you a couple months. Easy. I probably got 3 grams. I got some shatter, and shatter looks like caramel. Like it's like little caramel pieces. But I got a piece of shatter I've had since April. Because my Connect got popped. He got popped doing some other shit, but he gave me, what was it, 3 grams for 90. And this stuff I'm smoking now, I bought 1 gram for 40. Now I got 2 other grams for 30. But he was the lick. Kind of hate his business, went out of business. It's actually performance enhancing, basically a stimulant. Wax is awesome. I think so too. I got a blunt here with nightmare cookies and battery cookies mixed. I feel you, PJ. Well, what I did is I took, I said this last night, you grind it up. And then if you look at the screen inside the grinder, you can take flour and just like you can grind it up. But it's better just to take whole buds and you just take that bud and then you look and it turns into hash. That's all hash is. Hash is just flour taken, but it's getting the resin type. And then I'll do a little bit of just that hash. And then I'll melt a little bit of some of this wax and I'll rub that on the paper and then I'll put it in. And then I roll the most fucked up joint in the world. But since I got it, gotta be careful with that OG. I love it too. Concentrate are not only more potent and powerful, but they get extremely addicting too, to the point of being even more addictive than some pills. I haven't found that. Key says, I'm on cookies and ice cream. I'll tell you what, though, the rigs are like maybe the last chick I dated, maybe that's, well, one of the two I was dating. Maybe that's why. Because, but I did a rig and woo, that shit had me. When I saw her, I know my shit was like this. I know, because when I left, I was like dilly-dallying. I was so buzzed. But the rig, yeah. But the rig is so crackish. Like, you got to have a torch and you got to steer it in there and circle it around. That's just too much. My daughter be here. That's just too much. I'm running in the room. I mean, it's very crystal methish, crackish looking and kind of an activity. But the shit will give you the ooh-wee. It'll really get you buzzed. It'll really get you like ooh-wee. Like if you, like a dude was on Craig Facts and said he kept eating edibles, not thinking, and he said he stood up and he fell straight on his face because he didn't realize edibles have a different release than smoking and even doing this. It has a different release. And so what you have to understand is if you get high enough and adrenaline is released with an edible, it'll keep releasing that adrenaline. And so even though you might not be, because like you just normally get buzzed and adrenaline, you might hit the adrenaline, it's just released a little bit. But you get so buzzed off good marijuana, the adrenaline will keep releasing. And so that might be too much for you. And it could put some people in a panic attack because what it is just keep releasing adrenaline because that chemical is more of the chemical in your blood system. And so it's keeping releasing adrenaline where you at a point and you're like, hey, you smoking, you're like, okay, I just got some adrenaline release. And I'm like, cool. When you take edibles, it's going to keep releasing that shit. So that's the problem with it. I heard got to be careful with wax. Oh yeah, I read that. I'm on Cookie Keys tripping. I like that. I gotta have my woods. Woo! I thought I would get cheap and just suck on the backwoods. Yeah. I don't know about them woods. I couldn't suck on that thing. It was like I tried to do this, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? So no, I used to smoke them when they first came out. I would smoke them, but we got these edibles in Vegas. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, edibles are, you get, what is it, 50 gram or 50, forget the little piece. You can get a little piece, look like a piece of an hour later. And that shit will put you in the ooh-wee. They're synthetic. Some of them are, the weeds are synthetic. Could be. They're not, woods don't taste like this. But I've talked about cigars before and when they made cigarettes famous and popular because cigarettes was a poor man's tobacco, upper class, like watch movies and they show you what do you see in most of the upper class black and white dudes, in black and white movies. The upper class people all got cigars and you see the women and the lower people smoking cigarettes. It's like the way they fooled everybody about diamonds, telling you that the diamond, up to then it wasn't about diamonds, it was just some gold. Because the reason why you put it on this finger, because this finger in particular, kind of there's sensors that technically go to your heart. This finger is like connected, like those that study the hand, this finger is connected. The nerves in this finger that are generally connected to your heart. People that, know how the different parts of studying the people's hands. And that's why it's always been this finger, because this finger is connected to the heart. And so you generally just put anything that it wasn't, gold a lot of times, but not diamonds, not till they had the doors. Diamonds, like look at if you want to do the research, look up a old cut up, old polished diamond. They look nothing like this stuff. You don't see that shit. You don't see that shit in them old diamonds. They didn't really sparkle. They didn't have the polishing techniques. I used to mess a lot with this one girl back in the day, and her girlfriend made her smoke with her, even though she didn't smoke, and she had a panic attack and almost died. Yeah. As a matter, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at my son because my son would always do that. He smoked some cess with somebody and called me at 3, 4 in the morning. Dad, I can't, my heart. He'd tell me he couldn't feed it. He's like, Dad, I can't feel my heart. And then the next thing, but my heart is racing. Like, I thought you couldn't feel it. I'm telling you, just go to the hospital. Let them give you a Vicodin, one of the downers. Let them give you a downer and you'll be all right. So he would go up there but it's that a lot of people, you get so high where it reaches that's the thing with cocaine and crystal meth. It releases adrenaline quicker. Even heroin releases a type of adrenaline. But that's the thing that makes you have a panic attack. It's like adrenaline, because of stress, you can start releasing adrenaline because of stress, and adrenaline will make you like have a panic attack. Shivas is one of the greatest things. Shiva Ligam stones, it is one of the greatest things to take anxiety attacks off you. You just hold that stone and it'll take all that energy off you, all that uncertainty about your health. One of the greatest stones for that is Shiva stones. I love my backwoods, but I sure got to wash my woods every time. Okay. As a matter of fact, I got some peanut butter cups that have that something in it. I put in the freezer so it don't melt. Yeah, that's what you have to do with the wax. You got to put that in the freezer because it's sticky and it's like you got to have solid little pieces or to stay on your tool. You be sitting forever trying to get this waxy shit off. They have THC drinks and they are potent. You can only drink one shot. Yeah, I was trying to get my cousin a couple years ago to bring me one because we had something in Michigan. He was coming from California. And he was supposed to bring me one. And I don't think he went or I didn't go. I think I went. Fuck them drinks. Yeah, they got THC. Now, see, that's legal here. The pills is legal here. The drops is legal here. Carts are legal here. And then they just made the flower legal. They're just more expensive. The drops is really cool. Like, I like the butter. The drops is like butter. You get the butter and you just put it in some coffee. Like, this is no cap. I would get the butter, put it in the coffee, and that shit would keep me good all day. All day. Like 7, 8 hours, good all day. That just nice little buzz just from the coffee and putting that THC butter in my coffee. It would keep me good all day. Yep. But yeah, they got the pills too here. They about to pass it here because it's legal in South Carolina, and we're only about 4 hours from South Carolina. Oh shit, I've been going 1 hour and 53 minutes. Woo. Well, let me do the divinations before I get off here. And they call this fool's gold, and now they're telling you that they call it invisible gold, but there's a type of gold in the pyrite. Now they're admitting that pyrite actually has in a quantum level, it has gold in it. So, and pyrite is harder. Very protective stone too. Pyrite is very protective, and if you just messing around with crystals, you can just get this. And again, this is the reality of how everything grows. All the mountains grow like this. They grow in squares. So I don't see a lot of flat plane people saying that. That's what I wanted. It's on this phone. I took a picture. So okay. Let me see if I can remember. Okay. So first dimension is a flat line. There's no up and down at all. It's just a flat line. So as I was talking about Julia being on the magicians, or even you being on the magicians, when you would see all your other selves, you basically could put yourself in 1D, and you all would be on that same line. That's what 1D is. 2D puts in side to side. So sides go. So you not only have this one line, you can take a step off the line in 2D. And of course, 3D, you basically have the 4 elements. You have motion. You have the motion. 4D is, in some instances, the dimension of time is given to 4D. And so if you, as a time walker, I use 4D a lot. Now, I hear other people saying they go to other dimensions past that. It's hard for me because 5D, a lot of like Awakened One, she always talks about getting prepared for 5D. She's my friend, so I want to say it. Okay, I'll say this. A lot of what she says, it doesn't sound like 5D to me. So I'm kind of like, because it's like, when people talk about 6th, 7th, we can't conceive it. We can't conceive it. We can't conceive it. Like, think about it like this. When you meditate and you see these objects that you can't even explain, you can't, like, when you come out of it, you can't write down and say how to make sense out of what you saw, because there's some forms that you can't even comprehend. So the higher dimension, the more you have of that. But that's just part of what the article was. So today should be, I think, day 18. So if we're into day 18, yeah. So we're at 13 batoons, 0 katoons, 8 tunes. We should be at 11 uno, and we are on day 18 kin. And that is the Mayan date, which goes back millions of years, baby. It's the oldest continuous time watching on this planet is done by the Mayans. And they have stelaes that go, like they only want to get the Mayans 3,000 years back. Yeah, they got stelaes that these batoons that say one batoon, and this is millions of years. So day 18 should be Kaban. And you see why they give us this kind of stuff? So do you see when they mix English and you see these kind of things, you think it's just a coincidence? No, they want to give you something that you recognize. So Astabaz, 18. No, I'm sorry. Come on. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. It's Estabaz. Yes, we're going in, because today I prayed to the east. So yes, it would be, I'm sorry. So that's motion. I'm sorry. It's this one, Estabaz. And that's kind of what my real name would be, 13 Estabaz, because the way the Mayans named you was by the month, the day, the day, and the day would be your name. So if you was born on the 18th, or the 13th is actually an Esteban too. I'd have to, it's kind of hard, not hard to explain, but I'm getting mixed up. But that would be my name would be 13 Astabaz. This would be my name. And so day 18, which is going right now, not yesterday. Yeah. Hall of Mirrors, ritual partner of no time, the ritual stroke, ritual knife, sword of wisdom, and purification. And those of you that follow directions, the direction tomorrow will be in the east, or be in the north, be in the north. So patatlo. So in this card image, we see a yanni with the symbol of sacrifice. Okay, with the symbols of sacrifice. On his left hand, a symbol of the quado and a big pendant on his chest. On top, we see a sky full of carved flint, signifying how everything concerning the individual is connected with the higher realms of the cosmos. From these higher realms, a protective hand descends. This hand means that the yanni is protected because of the development of his higher awareness. Tepkapto represents the enhanced awareness that, like a mirror, reflects the harmonious existence of the cosmic totality. It also represents the power and wellness that arise from living in a harmonious connection with what is higher, both in its physical manifestation as the universe and its spiritual dimension in the unifying, sustaining force in the universe. The forces is known as Totex as Sinota, the sacred unity. Tapato also implies the tension or effort it takes for carved flint or knife to cut open its way to achieve fulfillment of its given task. In the spiritual sense, Tapato represents not only higher awareness, but especially the efforts you have to make to achieve such higher awareness. It represents the effort to live a purposeful life, which in turn promotes the achievement of higher awareness. These two reciprocal efforts sustain each other in what we call a sacred sustaining system. But for the efforts of the knife to succeed in opening its way, the flint needs to be carved and polished. For you, that means to achieve your full strength, you have to carve and polish yourself. This is consistent with the Toltec concept of human development, which is expressed in the old advice of the elders. Sculpt for yourself a real face and develop your soul so that you can see others and others can be seen by them. For your higher goal to be achieved, first you should develop yourself a real face, that you must be persistent and sustain your efforts to the right direction so that you can open your way to achieve your highest dream. In other words, direct your efforts both to the inner work and also external world. Trying to achieve something valuable only by focusing outside yourself would be senseless, because the way you experience life is a result of dynamic and hopefully harmonious interaction between the two realms of your existence. Therefore, you have to carve and polish the flint first and then learn how to direct it to your higher goal with sustained and intent in your actions of the world. So I give freely to that. And just some pointers. If my points of view, plans, or mind maps are not effective, is it possible that I have not taken the time to develop it? Is it my plan or goal that is wrong, or do I need to refine or define both of them? In my work, is there a situation, relationship, or project that I am rejecting just because I don't like its current form? So just if that anybody vibrates with that. Now Jody asked me if I saw the one cat. Why did this pop up? Yeah, he had a real good. Here we go. Okay. I must have laid something down. Why is that in here? Oh, I'm stuck. Okay. I've never had this come on here. Not sure why it is. Oh, I did something to bring it here. Oh, well. Let's see. Here we go. Fuck them drinks. Thank you for keeping them likes up. I'm reading this book called Egypt on the Potomac, like decodes the architecture and symbolism of DC. Yeah, there's a lot of Mason symbolism. Yeah, it's a lot of Mason symbolism. But I want to answer Jody's question. I want to say his name because I watched him too. So I'm sorry, Jody. Where did she ask me? Simon, what's his name? Oh, my son must be back. I hear my garage going open. So he must be back out there. But yeah, Jody, I saw that cat today. Simon, it was pretty good. I don't agree with a lot of what he says. I can't. I have calico pyrite. Oh, wow. Okay, Crazy Sarge. Where Jody? Jody asked another question. But yeah, I saw him, Jody. I saw that cat. Yeah, I saw. Yeah. There she goes. Did you see his name? Santos Bananchi, class 1 of 12 today. Yeah. Simon Santos, like I'm a year older than him. I think he's 58 or 59. And I mean, he's well read and he's well how to define it. I think he holds back a little bit. He doesn't like he's telling all the directions, but I'm trying to he doesn't tell the center. He doesn't talk about the center. What was the other one? He talks about plasma, but he doesn't tell you that when angels, if you ever have a plasma blast, that's an angel coming at you because angels move through plasma. And the first time it happens, it's like you're meditating. All of a sudden, it is literally like an atom bomb of plasma comes in, and it's just an angel. That's how they move. They move through plasma. Because the next time it happened to me, I was like waiting, and then this giant Wizard of Oz head comes in, and I'm like, "What took you so long? You must not be." But the first time I was visited by an angel, what I noticed is Mu is what the earth was called. That's the earliest name is Mu. The sun on the Chinese flag represents the lands of Mu, actually. But she didn't have to do all that. When she came, the divine feminine came, she didn't have to do all that. But I noticed with this angel came in, she had the plasma blast me. So it was interesting but that's a harder, so it made me understand. So plasma is how they move through. They move through plasma. So if you ever have that experience, an angel is coming. Yeah, Santos, yeah. And so that part, he didn't add that part, which would have been helpful, I think, to people. And I forget, he called one thing, gravity. Yeah, that's another kind of why are you teaching gravity? Gravity is really not real. My son and I get in these arguments. When you dream, there's no gravity. When you astral travel, there's no gravity. When you move through the Tsar world, there's no gravity. So you're saying that gravity just exists on this. When you dream, there is not gravity, and we all dream into screens. That's where they get TV from. I'm convinced. But when you dream into a screen. And I only say this because I've sat in dream screens. I've sat between my ex and myself, and I'm looking at her screen and I'm looking at my screen, and a lot of beings can't, because I defeated some beings trying to go into that shit. There's a lot of beings can't go into that because I had a dark energy in my old house. And yeah, that was the way I got rid of it. It's like, can you do this and take some of these cuts as when you coming in? And yeah, he couldn't do it. But we dream, right? It's a screen that pops up. It's a funny phenomenon to be able to sit there and watch it, because you can, well, I can't say everybody, but you can literally sit between, like, say your wife sits, you and him, that him or her is there, you can sit between and you can look into your screen and you can look into her screen. Now, you can't be evasive. If you have these abilities, it ain't to be evasive. You don't want to go and insert yourself. But yeah, that's possible. So we dream into them screens. Because it was like my daughter was sleeping on the floor. So I look over, like, look, my ex slept so hard, but I kind of lean on her and look over and look at my daughter, because she'd sleep on the floor. She was about 4 or 5. So she'd just come in the room and we'd like, you kick and you roll. If you want to come in here, she would just sleep on the floor, because if she'd fall asleep with us, she'd wake up in her bed. I'd like, yeah, as soon as she fall asleep, I'd take her to her room. So she would just sleep on the floor, and that way she could stay in the room all night, because she's on the floor. I didn't pick her up off the floor and take her to bed. So Boo, what's happening? Thank Boo for joining. But Ryan, yeah, it's a lot of Mason symbology. What's his name? Benjamin Banneker saved their asses, because the original Mason that came over left them. He was a Mason. He was from France, and he developed the pentagram. That's all the streets. Remember, the streets in DC's is numbers and letters, like AB, like downtown is what, A, B, C, D. So, it's letters and states. So Pennsylvania, like, I remember when you could drive down Pennsylvania Avenue right in front of the White House. You could drive right in front of the White House. Matter of fact, it was in the 80s, you could, like, where the Oval Office is, it was a turnstile. Like, if you parked not on the Pennsylvania side, but if you parked behind the White House, like on the side where the Washington Monument was, and you wanted to cut through the White House, it was a turnstile that was right. The Oval Office had a turnstile. And now all that is, you can't, I mean, even before this, you couldn't go through there. But it was a time you could drive right in front of Pennsylvania Avenue. It's recent that they cut all that off. Yeah, but yeah, it's letters and then it's states. Some shit like that. What is the number? 18 Freemasons? I don't know. I don't study them that often to really know a whole lot about them. I study some of their symbolism. I got a big book of all the world's symbols, and so I couldn't tell you. Maybe somebody else in the chat. Of that 42, I don't like red. Oh, so you faded too. But that's the thing. It's like Siova was saying that he watches a lot of different content. I really don't watch a lot of different content. I see other spiritual people, and I watch their content. Oh, yeah. Ryan, one thing is, like, that Cleopatra's Needle is in Central Park. So they brought it all the way from Kemet and brought it over to Central Park. And that needle also, now Jody would know this, that needle is also on one of the ley lines. And so it's on one of the stronger ley lines in the country. And that's what one thing they've done is they found all the strongest natural centers of energy that the earth gets us, and they put their science on it. It's like watching, before I came, I was watching Dr. Stone, and it's like it hits you with science. And like, I don't believe a lot of their science. That's why I laugh at that Dr. Stone crap, because it's like every other word is science, but Western science. It's all modern Western science. So just look, apparently it's a Tartarian Freemasonry. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know what that was, Boo. I wasn't hip to it. I would say Jody might have known. But I don't like, taking cough drops all day because all that sugar in them. And the ones that with no sugar in them don't seem to be as strong. So just keeps my mouth. And plus probably the medication I take too keeps me dry mouth. So So it's the thing is I watch a lot of that kind of like I see other religious people and I try to see what they rap about. I dig Bomber. I see his faults. I do. I'm not one of his followers. It's like I ain't really got nothing against Zach, but I think Zach has picked a side. But it's like Zach puts it out there for everybody. I mean, Zach Hubbard, he puts it out there for everybody. So, but I think he's chose sides. So he puts it out there, but he's on one side. So, on the back of the $1 bill, there's a pyramid with the eye on top. What does that mean? That is basically Marduk, the eye of Marduk, the eye of Ra. When really, it could be looked at as like the in the South American spiritual system, it's just the Great Spirit, the one, and it's the eye shows you that the one is with you. But they use it, and it's basically Marduk. They call it other names, but it's Marduk. I mean, that's probably a being that's still around. And I can't think of his name. He's on Facebook with me, but in his book, he says that Marduk was last saw in 2008. And Marduk's supposed to have been here for 500,000 years, supposedly. That's what they say, the Sumerian, some of that Sumerian Google gobble. But it's Marduk. I mean, that's what it boils down to, the eye of Marduk. The pyramid, again, is a Freemason, where they get their energy from. Because, you know, I even say this, Brother Sanchez is right. Freemasonry comes from Kemet. Just like taxing the people, all come from Kemet. So he's right about that. And so that's why they took I think one of the beings called Alexander the Great was really sacrificed for the Europeans to be able to go down and Kemet and get the training. I think it took his death for them to go out down and get the training. So that's where you see Pythagoras. And, you know, Pythagoras got the training and was giving it to the world. You know, they murdered him. They murdered Pythagoras. He was a Mason, and they murdered him. Other Masons murdered him. So he was giving up too much. So, yeah. And not all Masons get it. Not all Masons, even not all 33rd degree Masons get it. They're not all involved. So don't look at all of them and think that all of them is bogus. The funniest shit to me is before, what was his name? Little Beaver Combs. He was a Mason, and they tried to give me, back when the raid days, they was trying to give me that building. He said if I joined them, they would let me do whatever I wanted with that building. And it's downtown next to the police station. But he was like, yeah, we want to bring you in and you can have the building and give your parties in these buildings. I'm like, what? Oh. I had one of the funniest, goofy things to watch with him. And this was probably 01, 02. So we just sitting in the backyard smoking a joint, and we was living in Battle Creek off Capitol, which was one of the busier streets. But I lived on Goldwack, so we hear a boom. And so we knew it was a car crash. So we go out and look, and this car had hit the curve so hard, it flattened all four tires. So this is back when payphones was still around. So one of the guys was on the payphone, and his boy was like, trying to call, somebody to come get him and fix the car. And his boy was like, doing all karate at him and shit. And dude was getting irritated, and dude just kicked him in his joint, just kicked him. And I mean, the dude's face, it was like a first round knockout. Oh, man, Beaver had the biggest laugh, because like dude was like karate kicking him, and he just kicked him right in the nuts. And dude was like, I fell out. Oh, that did it for me and Beaver. And that was his real name, Little Beaver Combs. Little Beaver was his first name. But that was some of the funniest shit I ever watched. That dude just kicked him. And this is how smooth these cats was. They had somebody come, tow their car, and they left before the cops ever came. The cops came back, and they was gone. The car was gone, and they were gone. And I mean, they hit the curve, boom, flattened all four tires. But the way he kicked him, because the guy was just bullshit. They drunk, and dude just like had enough. Whap! Dude's eyes must have crossed, and he fell out. So that shit was kind of funny. So I hope I answered your question, Denise. That's what it is. That's what the I stands for. My friend was at a rodeo, and these two Freemasons with number 18 on their back stood in front of him for a good 5 minutes and left. There was some kind of message there. There's a character on Tekken 7 named Greg Marduk. Yeah. Marduk is, if you go into the Sumerian lores, Marduk is, he would be El's son, and then Marduk would be the first Sumerian that got a woman pregnant. And if I remember right, because the book is over there, but I don't feel like grabbing it. If I remember right, Gilgamesh comes from Marduk, I think, because Marduk or Gilgamesh is a demigod. He's not full god. Well, technically, if you look at all of his parentage, but Gilgamesh comes, I think, from Marduk too, or Gilgamesh is Marduk's cousin. It would be like Gilgamesh would probably be his second cousin or first cousin. I got a book that breaks all that down. See if I see it. You know, with this dyslexia, I hate looking for shit. But it has all that broke down. Maybe I'll bring it out when I come back on. I guess that would be Tuesday morning. Yeah, because I'm not coming on tomorrow. So Marduk is a name that you see. That's if you study that Sumerian stuff, you've got to come across that name. And that name seems to be okay. So when Alexander the Great goes into Babylon, he sees Marduk's tomb. Marduk was in stasis, and Alexander the Great writes of this, or his scribes write of when he went into Babylon. The first thing he did is he saw Marduk. He went to Marduk's tomb in stasis. So, and then you don't hear much about him till after that, but it appears like he is still around somewhere. So, okay. So that's why you see that, but that's the I. That's who they basically, like if you look at who Yah is, that's the same thing. A jealous God. There's no, or you could call it Yabatha. You could call it Yabatha. No God but I. The being created from Sophie. You know, the Sophie, the divine feminine. Yabatha. That you know, she was able to cloud him and shield him from the other gods. The other gods could read the energy, but they couldn't tell. They knew something was off. And then you have Yabatha that he can't even see them, but he can see the earth, and he can see these people down there, and he's able to manifest. And so he doesn't think there's any God over him. It's basically the same character, though. You know, Yabatha, Marduk is basically the same character. No God but I. I mean, Yabatha probably in the Old Testament is closer to Yabatha than Marduk, but it's basically the same character. So, but like you get into like in this Yabatha, you find him in this, and I'm probably not saying the name right. I think a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Yadabath, page 46, just to give you a little bit, see what they say about him. Probably not much. Yeah, I saved this. So this is Joshua. Let's see. Oh, okay. So we have, let me see, where's 13? Okay. So Joshua says, and this comes from the Gospel of Thomas. Joshua says, blessing on the lion if a human eats it, make the lion human. Foul if the human eats a lion, make the lion human. And then this obscure saying seems to appeal liable as a symbol of the passionate and beast of the passion may either be consumed by a person, consume a person. The secret book of John portrays Yabatha, the ruler of this world, as a lion-like appearance. So, and the first pre-Christian text is the Gospel of Thomas. That's pre-Christian, and I don't know why they left it out of the canonical Bible, but that's another book that should have been in, just like the Gospel of Mary. Because the Gospel of Mary say, you know, he favors us over you. He kissed you in the mouth. He favors you over us. And then they ask her, well, you know, when she sees him, when he comes back, and they say, you know, what did you see? She's like, if I tell you anything, you're going to take it wrong. You love master so much, you're going to take it wrong, and you wouldn't understand it. And so they're supposedly getting mad. But I tell you, the baddest dude, and I've said this before, is Simon Magnus. You want to study the baddest person in history, is really probably him. He's the only person that could fly. And he calls the fire sacred, but he was the Magnus. And then there's a lie about Peter. We know Peter's not a real being, but Peter supposedly beat him where Peter could fly. Well, it's made up shit. But Magnus, and I've said this before, when you see Superman, probably for people more modern, would be in the Matrix, when you see Neo, bend down and then push off the earth. Well, that comes from Simon Magnus, because right before he would fly, he would do something very similar where he would talk to the earth and then he would push off and he would fly places. And he's the only person in human history recorded that could fly. Not teleport from one place to the other, but I mean actually get up and fly. Only person. With a brother with dreads. But remember, say locks. Don't say dread. Dread means death. That's why they call it dread, death locks. But it ain't. It's antennas to the world. That's why you get an old man and, it gets bald like that, you grow beards. So you keep the antennas to the ethers. Do you believe? I don't believe in anything, Cortland. I do not believe in anything. I only know, and I only practice awareness. So, I mean, it might be real to you. Who am I to say that any of this is, what's real to you? How can I tell you what's real to you? Because you create what you believe in. When you believe in stuff, you create that. So it is real to you. It is real to you. Like I talked about last night, I found a little bit more of how this young man died. And I saw his mother. I don't know if his mother was at a party at church. I couldn't tell, but she was dancing. And I could tell by the dance that some of that grief was coming off her. Because in that moment, she needed to move them energies to help her deal with the passing of a young son. So I don't believe in anything. I only know, and I only practice awareness. But I'm not saying what you could believe or anyone believes. I can't say that it ain't real for you because you create it. I mean, this is what happened to my generation, and what I saw is my generation was the first generation not to be forced to go to church. My mother, my stepfather, my father, they grew up all in Pentecost. Well, my mother didn't. She grew up in Baptist and Catholic church, but they were forced to go to church. Well, that was part of the hippie movement. Part of the hippie movement was anti-church. And so my generation, the parents gave most of the children a choice. And so my generation was the first generation not forced to go into church. But what's interesting is I've seen my contemporaries getting older, a lot of them have went back to church, and that's what I don't understand. It's like, why now? I mean, you've lived long enough to see what this thing is and even seen the business of the churches. Because for melanated people, the churches are spies on you for one thing. They work for the government. They get the government, what is it called? The tax form they take. That means they work for the government. All churches work for the government to take that tax credit. They are government agents. And that's why a lot of the churches have agendas. But getting back to the point is you create it. So if you go to church since the time you're little, you create that. And so when you get into your knowledge and your knowing, when you're old enough, you've created this thing. So this thing could be real for you. And this is the thing that people don't understand. Demons can do good work. Bedazzled showed you that. It may not be perfect and the demon may make mistakes, but you asked the demon to make you a drug lord. Remember in Bedazzled? Well, the demon put you in where you was a drug lord, but you got busted. Remember, you asked the demon to make you the greatest basketball player in the world. They made you like Shaq. They made you 7 foot, but they gave you a micro penis. Bedazzled was talking about Shaq. So demons can do good work. Evil can do good work. It ain't like these things is evil and they just going to be evil all the time. No, it don't work like that. Evil can do good work for you to get you to their side. So to you, it seems like it's good, but the far-reaching thing is evil. So demons can do good work. Angels can do fucked up work. Ain't like the angels is just perfect and can always save you. They can do fucked up work too. So there's two sides to all of it. Or as MJ says, look at the reverse. But you have to understand, demons can do good work. You got to understand that. Can't lose that point. And so, can you call your God to do something for you? Well, you've created it. And the older you are, the longer you created it, it's a way of manifesting. I mean, you're going to give credit to your manifesting to your God instead of looking inside and say you had the ability to manifest it without that. But if you've manifested and you attribute to your God, you're going to keep drawing from that well. And you're going to keep giving the power from outside of you. You're going to think that the things that you manifest came from an outside source instead of realizing that you're the manifester. That's all. So I'm not here to persuade one way or the other. I'm balanced. And balance don't mean staying in the middle. Balance don't mean staying like this. That ain't balance. Balance is this and this and this and this. That's balance. It ain't one smooth thing. Life ain't smooth like that. So balance is adjusting. The way it moves, adjusting. So, yeah, Peter of the New Testament. There's a book that I don't think this is in the Bible, but there's a book when they talk about Peter was able to take. They just call him Simon. They just call him Simon. That Peter and Simon had who could fly. That's a bullshit story. Hey, Green Onion, thank you for joining. Yeah, beware of wolves in sheep clothing. Cortland, most people are religious because they're parents, but I feel that a God, he knows you, but you don't know him. Okay. What's a good prayer? Well, the way I start my prayers off is, like I was saying, when I start my prayer off, I do directional prayers. So today is the prayers in the north. So I start my prayer off. I take my infinite ball field and I greet my ancestors and guides in the north. That's how I start my prayer off. And then one part of my prayer, I ask these ancestors and these guides to also consider my children and my parents. I started off with giving thanks to the great source Father. And then I kiss and hug the great source Father. And I ask that kiss and hug goes all the way down. And then I end with my own father. And I kiss and hug my own father. And I do the same thing with the great source Mother. And I ask that kiss and hug goes all the way down where I kiss and hug my own mother. And then I dive into Mu. And then I thank the elements. So I can't say what's good. I think what you have to say is what is good in you and what do you want to manifest? What do you feel that's in your heart? That's the best prayer, is just be honest with yourself on what you call and what you put out in the ethers. So I can't say, what's a good one. I mean, what's a good one is what I'll say this, be consistent. Be consistent. Now, prayers can change. I'll say that, but the point that you do something, be consistent with it. That's like meditating. You can't meditate once a year and think you're going to get the benefits of it. You have to keep practicing it. Same way with manifesting. So what you tried to manifest this time didn't happen. You have to look at how you nurtured it. Like how you was bringing it from a seed until you got to the point where you're about to manifest it. So PJ, that's a personal thing that I can't really point to, but yeah, that's not quite the whole story. I can send you some prayers though too. I can send you a couple good ones. I'll look up some stuff. I can send you some good ones because there are some good things even in this book. I mean, there's some good prayers that you can say. Like I've said, my 3 years of playing college football, every game my coach said the Lord's Prayer. Every game, because it is. Football, you can get killed or your career ruined. And so football is very superstitious, very superstitious. Very, like Deion Sanders said, he would set his uniform out, everything, the helmet, the shoulder pads, he would put them all in order, and people knew not to walk over. People would walk around his cubby. So football is, people get very religious during football season because of that chance that you could get killed or severely hurt. Other sports, not so much, but football definitely. So, yeah. You see I haven't watched it. Was that slide that says something about the shower scene? I don't know. I haven't watched it. I have no interest in him. You see that he's doing, he's going to do whatever it takes to stay there. I mean, he took Nas's name, and Nas is apparently cool with it. So he took some of Nas's energy, and he didn't cut it because, again, he's kind of paid for it. He's one of them Pan-Africans. He got the pharaoh on the cover, I mean, they're playing their roles. They're playing their roles. They're playing their roles. So he's playing the role of trying to do whatever it takes to be relevant. That's him. It's like he's like Magic. Will Smith and Magic, they would fuck anybody. Didn't matter, man, woman, didn't matter. They would fuck anybody put in front of them. There's some people in Hollywood that's like that. But Magic had a handler that was probably a wizard. Jerry Buss, or Dr. Jerry Buss, was more likely some type of wizard too. One of them Hollywood wizards. So pre-game rituals, as long as I zoned out on some music, I did well. Gosh, it gets so bad with superstition, with football. Wow. Like, I give you a funny one. And this was basketball. My teammate, Derek Dooley, when we were sophomores, because he lived on the other side of town, he would always come to my house. Before we could drive, he would always come to my house, and then we would eat at my house, and then we would go to the game from my house. Because, we'd go out and get out of school, and the game wasn't right when we got out of school. So we'd come to my house, cook, eat. But like in my old house that I grew up in, we had a toilet like in the front of the house. And don't you know, for 3 years before every basketball game we played where we went to my house, this dude shit in my bathroom. Every game for 3 years. If he went to my house before a game, because eventually he would drive to my house, but he would take a shit in my bathroom every game for 3 years. Now, of course, if we had away games, we might not be in, but if we even if away games, we would leave for a little while and then come back to the school. But he did that. But I remember my senior year in high school, I listened to David Oliver before every game. I had to listen to David Oliver, and that was the one with Friends and Strangers, which David Oliver is bad. He's not with us anymore, but yeah, David Oliver. I'm going to write you a love song. That's pimping. I am going to write you a love song. I'm going to dedicate the whole song to you. That is pimping. They don't make good pimp music like that anymore. So, well, guys, 2.5 hours, probably enough. So, oh, it's over there. Let me grab it. Oh, I can barely stand up after sitting. Oh, and my brother-in-law, wait till you see Keelan. He is every bit of, Cameron's 6'6", and Keelan is only that. I mean, their shoulders are about, he ain't that little round head little boy anymore. He's a big old man. Oh my goodness, he's big. He walks around. Look at this, Dad. Look at this. You see that there, Dad? We call him big and strong. And I've told the story before. He picked up Natalie, and he picked her up, and the way he picked her up, her butt was in his face, and she farted right in his face. He wanted to drop her. I know he did. He picked her up, and he kind of like, he had his arms around her stomach, and she just farted right, like he was holding her butt was right in her face, and we just died laughing. He wanted to drop her. He didn't really know what to do, but he wanted to just like, ah! And she can't even tell the story. She just started laughing so hard. He thought I broke his arm last night because, I got these little bats for my hands. These are kind of therapy for my hands. And he walks by me, smacked me upside my head, so I caught him on his elbow. He's like, I think you broke my arm. Like, man, your arm ain't broke. Well, I was like, don't hit me. Don't smack me upside my head. So Mora was a greeting of the time walkers. And Mora would kind of, if a time walker is feeling a little low, they would say Mora to him. But the full meaning of it is, it starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the gray serpent. And as the mind would say, I am another yourself. Thank you, everybody who joins. Thank you, everybody who watches us in the future. Thank you for the people that hung out on Facebook. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your host. 8 Wind is Timeless. I'll be back on Tuesday morning. Till we meet again.